allow them to take their seats.
Thank you. We may render our national anthem in the sweet voices that we understand. All artists here can do it. Fatsile no la rona.
I would like to call on stage Mr. Timothy Malusi, who is the SEPA registrar, to come and give us the opening prayer.
Thank you. Good morning. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we want to thank you for this morning. We want to thank you for a new day that you have given unto us. We know that, Lord, with each new day, there is an opportunity to do better. There is an opportunity to improve. There is an opportunity, Lord, to take things to the next level as reflecting, Lord, what we did in the past. And Lord, this morning as we are gathered in this place with this life, oh God, and we pray your blessing upon this event this morning. We continue to declare unity amongst us. We declare growth and prosperity over our creative sector in the name of Jesus. We pray increase even over our creative sector, oh Jehovah, for we know that we can build. As Lord, we apply ourselves and we are creative in this nation. Father, we surrender everything into your mighty hands this morning. In the mighty name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Thank you for that prayer. May I request that you remain standing so we may observe the necessary protocols. Minister of Trade and Entrepreneurship, Honorable Tiraone Ntsima. A round of applause. In absentia, Minister of Sports and Arts, Honorable Jacob Kilibeng. He has apologized that he will join us a bit later. May we give him a round of applause. Acting Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Communications and Innovation, Mr. Cecil Masicha. Professor Mokhomutsi, who is the Deputy Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Trade and Entrepreneurship. The National Arts Council Board Vice Chairperson, Ms. Lorato Mutsarakole. Companies and Intellectual Property Authority Caretaker Registrar General, Mr. Joel Duke Ramapoi. Chief Executive Officer of Copyright Society of Botswana, Mr. Letlogonolo Makwinja. Chief Executive Officer of Botswana Trade Commission, Ms. Shirley Muntu. Acting Chief Executive Officer of National Arts Council, Ms. Otsetsui Kubo Yankwe. Acting Chief Executive Officer, Botswana Digital and Innovation Hub, Mr. Diani Mongodi. Director, Technology and Commercialization, Mr. Limpaleti Matenge. Acting Director, Research and Knowledge Business, Mr. Mohomoti Banabotle. Ministry of Communications and Innovations Management. SIPA Management, musicians, producers, promoters, songwriters, DJs, and other music industry stakeholders, members of the media, good morning. We are gathered here today to commemorate the World IP Day, or World Intellectual Property Day, which was established by the World Intellectual Property Organization with a view to raise awareness on the impact of patents, copyright, trademarks, and trademarks on our daily lives, as well as to recognize the contribution of creators and innovators to the economies and societies around the world. My name is Tshepiso Marumo. I stand before you professionally as a business ecosystem development specialist, but today I stand before you as the co-director of ceremonies, which implies that I will not be driving this ship by myself.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rahile Kopi. I am a seasoned businesswoman as well as an accounting professional. And I would like to ask you guys to all please take your seats. Today, I am the co-MC alongside Mr. Marumo here, and I'm so excited because it is all about music. And, you know, music, every single one of us can say has impacted our lives. It transcends whether you are black or white, whether you are young or old. Music has definitely impacted our lives. And today, we are celebrating you, the creators, the innovators. Today is not just a day of celebration, but today, as we celebrate World IP Day under the theme IP and Music, feel the
on the program. To get to the ablutions, there is a door through which you came. Go down the hallway. At the end of the hallway, on the right, there is those ablutions. There's signage that indicate which ones are male and female. In the case of, or in the event of an emergency, we've got ushers who are dressed in either blue jeans and white shirts or all white, who in that instance would direct us out to an assembly point where they'll give us further instructions.
All right, let us get the show on the roll. I'd like to call upon the acting permanent secretary of Ministry of Communications and Innovation to give us the welcome remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cecil Masira. Please give him a big round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you. First and foremost, I would like to acknowledge in the midst of us here, Honorable Tirayaone Ntsima, who is the Minister of Trade and Entrepreneurship. I would like to acknowledge as well fellow permanent secretaries here present, heads of department and chief executives, yourselves, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the esteemed members of the creative industry, as well as members of the media. A very good morning once more to yourselves. I wish to welcome you to this special commemoration of the World Intellectual Property Day. Today, as we gather here, we do recognize and celebrate the power of innovation, creativity, and the critical role of intellectual property, what it plays in fostering economic growth, technological development, and cultural enrichment. These are serious conversations that we should be having. You know that our economy has been, by and large, dependent on mining resources, so we need to diversify and look for alternatives. This year's theme, IP and music, feel the beat of IP, reminds us of the immense potential that intellectual property holds in shaping a brighter future, from patents and copyrights to trademarks and designs. IP is the backbone of progress, protecting the ideas and inventions that drive industries forward. It empowers entrepreneurs, artists, researchers, ensuring that their hard work is valued and rewarded. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we commemorate this day, let us also reflect on the importance of a robust IP system that encourages this creativity, protection of these rights, facilitating knowledge sharing, content creation in our economy. I come from the Ministry of Communications, Communications and Innovation. We aspire to develop a broadband ecosystem. We are responsible primarily as a ministry from the angle of the supplier side, which means infrastructure, the services that should be availed to yourselves. Yourselves come into play on the demand side by way of creation of content. It's really important in that regard. Which content, obviously, we are talking about is protection. Let us also reaffirm our commitment to fostering this environment where innovation thrives, benefiting individual businesses and societies at large. That there is impact of the digital revolution is a given, and in all spheres of life, including the music industry. That there is impact on business models and approaches, that there is impact on artists and music creation. This we need to reckon with in our endeavors. In concluding my welcome remarks, I wish to extend my heartfelt gratitude to you, ladies and gentlemen, and the speakers who are going to be speaking today, partners and participants for joining us today. Your presence and contributions is highly regarded, and we believe it will drive the agenda. May I hasten to point out that policy, colleagues, does not come from government. It comes from all spheres of life, all quarters of life. As we converse here, you are actually developing and building the policy. Our civil servant our role is purely to write it down in paper. So we look forward to your insightful ideas and lead the way. We encourage you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cecil Masiha, for those very concise, brief welcome remarks. That, as an MC, is what I love. And I know that today all our speakers will make sure that we are right on time. Now, he is an accomplished CEO with over 24 years of experience and scaling businesses in a variety of settings like corporate and investment banking, SME development, and global expansion. He is currently on secondment at SEPA as the Caretaker Registrar General. His sole mandate being to lead Botswana's economic transformation and diversification agenda by leveraging intellectual property, and that is why he is the perfect person to give us the overview of the World IP Day. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Mr. Jewel Ramaphoyi.
Thank you very much, Directors of Ceremonies. And perhaps let me take this opportunity to recognize the presence of the Minister of Trade and Entrepreneurship, Honorable Tirayaone Nzima, who found it fit to be in our midst to grace this occasion, despite his many competing business needs at the ministry. Let me also recognize the presence of the Minister of Sports and Arts, Honorable Jacob Kelebeng, in his absence. I understand he'll be joining us any minute from now. Acting Permanent Secretary, Minister of Communications and Innovations, Mr. Cecil Masira, Chief Executive Officers here present, SIPA management, music industry stakeholders, members of the media. Good morning and happy belated World Intellectual Property Day. My prime duty this morning is a very simple one, which is to give a brief overview of the World Intellectual Property Day. Every year on the 26th of April, 193 member states of the World Intellectual Property Organization, Botswana included, celebrate World IP Day. This day celebrates the contributions of creators, inventors, and entrepreneurs who drive innovation and shape the world around us. This year's theme is IP and music, feel the beat of IP. According to WIPO, from the rhythms that invite us to dance, to the lyrics that echo our emotions, music enriches every aspect of our lives. But in today's digital age, the music has undergone significant transformations, with new challenges and opportunities emerging for artists, producers, and record labels alike. This theme is a vibrant and timely reminder that as the industry continues to evolve, understanding IP in music has become more crucial than ever. From copyright protection to licensing agreements, having a solid grasp of IP laws and concepts is essential for anyone pursuing a career in the music industry. The theme calls for us to introspect on how our intellectual property laws ensure that artists and creators have the exclusive right to control and profit from their work. The Companies and Intellectual Property Authority, otherwise known as SIPA, which is an official government body under the Ministry of Trade and Entrepreneurship, is the administrator of the Copyright and Numbering Rights Act as well as the Industrial Property Act. Some of the IP rights that have an impact on this industry are as follows. Copyrights protects the creativity behind music, the songs, the melodies, the beats, the dance moves, the music videos, and the lyrics. Trademarks protect the unique identity of artists, record labels, and music festivals, amongst others. Patents protect the new inventions that can solve the unique problems faced by the industry. Industrial designs protect the unique appearance of musical instruments and other music products. Of course, the administration of the Copyright and Numbering Rights Act is just one half of a strong IP regime. The other is ensuring that IP plays a pivotal role in safeguarding the rights of the musicians, composers, and producers, including traditional knowledge of indigenous communities, and ensuring that they thrive in a competitive global market. And that is a serious and ongoing challenge. As President of the Republic of Botswana, Advocate Dumaguinom Boko said recently, and I quote, "We need to take control of our indigenous knowledge, some not even written anyway," close quote. Viewed in this context, and recognizing traditional forms of creativity and innovation as protectable IP may enable indigenous and local communities, as well as the government, to have a say over their use by others. This may make it possible, for example, to protect traditional music against misappropriation and enable communities to control and benefit collectively from their commercial exploitation. And a strong intellectual property regime coupled with an efficiently operating patent system, will be critical to this goal. Therefore, as we commemorate the World IP Day today, we must all ensure that the ongoing review of our IP regime incorporates equitable principles into its regulatory framework as an important step towards remedying the underlying problems that are being faced by the music industry. And in the end, let me quote from the budget speech as presented by the His Honor, the Vice President, Renda Bagaolate, from his inaugural budget speech, which he said, I open quote, "The creative industry is a driver of economic growth, social preservation, and social transformation. It has the power to generate employment, foster innovation, and project our distinct identity," close quote. And my last word, or my message to you this morning is that forget the term intellectual property in all that you do in the music industry, but don't ignore the power of the concept. With that, I thank you very much for your kind attention and wish you a fruitful, well, Intellectual Property Day. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Joel Diramapoi. Thank you so much, sir. When you mentioned protection and preserving indigenous knowledge, it resonated with me, and I'm sure it resonated with a lot of our artists here today, because we use some of our traditional instruments, which means that incidentally there's containment of indigenous knowledge there, which needs to be protected. And speaking about that, I think we should invite to the stage for entertainment an artist who is first going to play for us one of our traditional instruments, which is esitinkani, followed by another who is going to render a poem as an example of some of the things you mentioned in your speech. Shall we have entertainment by the artist who's going to play esitinkani for us? While they sort that out, I would like advice on how to protect my voice. You heard a little bit of it when I started the national anthem, but I was incidentally interrupted by the recorded track. I'd like to be given an opportunity to demonstrate my abilities later on when we get to the last item in the program. Well, it looks like we're having a bit of a challenge back there. Shall we then proceed to our poet for the day, who goes by the name Machola?
Bagata machola make mutama ni muzwala bengwe. Musibanyana ga machola kiloilwe. Musibanyana kiloilwe ke mme matshire mosadi wa molotsana o ntoile. Kana o ntoile to ye bogolo ba solo. Gore re ke bona dilo di le dintenyane ke be ke bua hela ke sa tshabe sepe ke itse ke tlase ke seke. Ke re ke tlase ka jang kiloilwe. Mamoswana ngwanyana wa ka ntiretse kiloilwe. Ntiretse mamoswana ngwanyana wa ka ke a go rapela. Setobo ke khunana ga malome e sere gore ngwa sa ke ngwa tobokela. Tsantsentsa kodu re se ka ra toga ra bua seleme mmogo ka gapa tshweu gapa tshwana ra gapa khomutsa mmala o le mongwe mamoswana ntiretse ngwanyana wa ka. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? I'm very fine and financial and stable. mosimanyana ke a bo ke tšhomatšhomi e rokollang tša dithokwa ke raya gore kana matona a puso a goneha let them put their hands in the pocket so that they can stabilize my pockets Tietse mamoswana ngwanyana wa ka gape le ga ka jane ga nke le la bo le bona temotshimong ke a bo ke bona motho a le motona o na re bolo a ga ntsima ke a mo itse ke monga ka se ka nta tse ka tala tietse mamoswana ke batla go semolla go theogela be ke re khupa marama ke a hupologa e metle re khurita magere khurutse ke khurumulle se khurumelo ke kgwebo tlhoko ka legano mosimanyana ke rata ke kgwebo tlhoko ka legano le emelele le tsenye mabogo mo dikgwatlheng le se ka la nna la tolobe la rita pitsa ka mosidi ke rata ke bo ke batho ba le batona tanki thata motho a ga senyong fera o ntime o mphele bana ke a go bona tšampa le wena ke a go akgola ke re tsatsi la gompieno le nthetse thata motsamaisa tiro se ka nkgopa-kgopetsa kana mmoki o tshwana le moruti ga ba bua ga banke ba kgopa-kgopediwa tsatsi la gompieno re phutagane tsieso go ngana re phutagane se go ba go boka samanong tanki thata motho a ga masiga kana ra bo re biditswe ko ena tšampa re biditswe ko ena tšampa tsatsi la gompieno re thategetse masisi tlhwa dipoto pitsa kgolo bona jaaka itshutshuma tsatsi la gompieno re tsile go tšhoma tšhomi e rokollang tša dithokwa ntiretse mmamoswana ngwanyana wa ka ke a go rapela tsatsi la gompieno mosimanyana a ga matšhola le nthetse thata ke tsile go tšhobela magoko bontlenyane tsebeng tsa batho ke re khupa marama tsatsi la gompieno kana ra bo re tsile go bua kgang re touta kgang re biditswe ke batho ba le batona re bitswa ke batho ba le batona thata ba o ka me botswana bo le mmogo re le ba diragatsi tsatsi la gompieno re tsile go lela selelo sa khuranyo ya meno ga pele ga batho ba le batona ke re honorable tenteta ke go sege metshetse tšampa ke ra ke go tshitsege dinale di tšhaotšhaoka wena phalahala motho re go tshepile re go roma ke rata ke go rome tšampa a itse ane kana mosimanyana ke rata ke we hatshe ka mangwele ke go rome he tšhitšha e mangwela a ditshipi ke rata o tlhwatlhwaelo o tse pitse tsho o khwele o mathe o tudietse makgarapa o didimetse makgarapa o dike o ile go bona motho a le motona o ka me botswana bo le mmogo ke bua ka that's my boy honorable advocate Dumabokwe e re o tsena kwa tšampa o itele ngwele hatshe kana mothole ke motho a le motona o more a bohempetšhana a gatele ka kwano tsatsi la gompieno GICC a tle go bona jaaka tau e tona e ruta ditawana matolo tau e tona tsatsi la gompieno e phuthile batho ya phutha baopedi ya ba ya phutha le nna e semma mosimanyano a ga matšhola ramaka kana nna makame a monate kana nta a nthuta go ba dijo hatshe tsatsi la gompieno re tsile go bua ka maka rona tšampa maka rona kana monate Dr. Vomukiolo ka ntshupela gore maka ga go le ena monate batho ba ha ba batona ba ka ntshupela motho a ga mosenyi master di le ene ke o ka ntshupela gore maka ga go a monate kana batho ba ete ba ribitse mo melotong gore tere ba aketse go le monate mere ko morago ba re neele go madi gore ba akeditse tsatsi la gompieno ke rata re tere bue ka maka rona re rata go a tsaya ra bofaganye sengatana ke rata thata tšampa o bue le motho a ga boko a gatele ka kwano re te go bua dikgang re toute kgang ke morae ke re kile a bo re thategile mma masisi thwa dipoto pitsa e tshutshuma ka monate e tshutshuma ka masuhu mono motho a ga go sa thola go tshutshuma sepe basimanyana diramata ba re jela dio tsa rona ba re re gopelela mohutswa a phata basimanyana mo go bo WhatsApp le bo Facebook nna ba antena ba tsa dio tsa rona hela mahala ke ra ke bone ba bangwe ba ntse ba ntsa ditshwantsho mahala mme ke le lona ke rata le sekala ntsa ditshwantsho mahala e re lentse ditshwantsho le la thele masikisi pense e re ke tsena kwa ke re mme ke re wa bona makame a monate a tla bona ke phuthetse sengwenyana ntiretse mmamoswana manyana wa ka intellectual property tsatsi la gompieno re bua ka ditlhamo kana re bua ka bone baopedi ga re bue ka baopedi hele re bua le lona baboki ga re bue ka baboki hela re bua ka bakwadi ga re bue ka bakwadi hela re bua ka bone bakwadi ba di baesekopo gore thea ko le tle le nne hatshe monga ka ntsima o ite ba na le sabe manyenyana o ba re ba bue molao ba o gagamatse dio tse re tere di ke re di gagamaditse ba se ka ba re tseela khumo ya rona bana ba rona ka moso ba tsoga ba ja mabogo a dijesi di tšhaba di re tshegedi re borrama ka bona jaaka ba ja mabogo a dijesi mosimanyana a ga matshola gate ke tshwere ke nako ke ne ke tsile go tsisa kgalemo e se kgalemo a kgalefo tšampa e ne le kgalemo a kgakololo ke re ra lela re utwe tšampa o rutwe thata he tšhitšha ya mangwala a ditshipi tsatsi la gompieno re itumetse thata motho a le motona gore irile re bua mokgosi re kua mokgosi wa se ka wa re kgwela manqa wa gatela ka kwano GICC re tsile go tshologa bomme Hatchfield ba teng ba tla dika ba tshologile bo mogwe ba teng ba tla dika ba tshologile re tshologe dikgang di le monate re tatse pizza ke mo itse ke mo tshepa ke nkgonne o tla isa mahoko e re ko parlamenteng ba kgaleme thata mosimanyana wa ga matshola ke loilwe ya re boga thata e tšhitšha gore go kurute ga matshola tsa dikgongwana kitse kgarebe ya ka re tere dikero go di tshwaya mme ntlha o ka re ke a di ngongoregela ga ke a bona badiragatsi ba ka ba tla go latlhela sengwenyana Dr. Vomo ga ke a go bona o tla go latlhela sengwenyana lo ena Lezibo ke go bone mme ga ke a go bona o mpihetse ana fiki lo ena o mpihetse ga ke a go bona motho aka ke rata ke gate ka sa mma morago mosimanyana ga matshola a tswa tšhoba tla tšhotla chocolate a tšhonne a tšhobotlwa ke mosadi wa tšhobola a tšhobetse dikausi a tšholobela a lebile ga e tshoma tsilutse ke kwa ke tswang teng mosimanyana wa mokalaka wa gona metsi a re kalaka ke loile
Baheng Lehofi Botsadi. Thank you, gentlemen, for that musical item. Habantse ba letsana ke utlwile ke gopola gore next chance ke re ke le bolela ka talent ya me. Ke be ke sa kgone go dira jalo. Mme ke akanya gore gongwe re tlhakane le borreba kana ke motho o maaka gongwe go tla direga ka ne go diragala ha matshola le. This lady has a very lovely voice. I'm sure she would have one amazing version of ululation. So maybe we should get together and try something. We'll get something from there.
I don't know about that. Gape nna ke batla go ntsha ma 1000.
O ko ba bagolo yang.
But you know what? Speaking of that, there's this video I had of my great grandmother. You know the warmth of our culture of Setswana hair, like it is always so warm. So what a day to be a Motswana.
That's true. Ya ka re le hayana re letsa re le badiragati. Re le badiragati gore tse re di eletsang di sekegelo tsebe gore le rona re tle re boke re bua ba maruri mme gore go tle go diragala ka ne le bona go diragala.
All right, without further ado, this young lady that's about to get on the stage, okay, she's an all-round intellectual property expert with over 13 years of experience working in this area. She currently serves under the Botswana Digital Innovation Hub as a technology transfer advisor, where she deals with IP issues and IP issues related to technology transfer and commercialization. Ladies and gentlemen, today she's the moderator for the Industry Players Panel discussion. Please give a big round of applause for Miss Tebo Motlhaping.
Okay. Good morning, Bagaetso. At this point, allow me to call upon the stage our panelists, Re Jones Mwitepi, Re Gabetu Sisini, Master D, Samantha Mohwe, and Zenzel Hitchfeld. A round of applause for them, a heavier one. Thank you very much. Bagaetso ga re bua ka music as an industry, re bua ka an industry e leng gore currently in the digital era, it faces tremendous challenges, but it also has unprecedented opportunities embedded in it. E leng gore, as I hope we'll get to hear, we are yet to really tap into as a local industry. Maybe to give a bit of context, really what's happening in the global stage. According to a report generated by IFPI, which stands for International Federation of Phonographic Industry, which is an organization that represents the recording industry worldwide. It's reported in 2024 that total trade revenues reached up to $29.6 billion US. 69% of that is attributable to streaming platforms. And physical formats, only attributed 16.2%. So you can see the transition from physical to now streaming platforms. Now, our own industry in Africa, 0.37% of that streaming revenue. And mainly, 75% of that 0.37% was from South Africa. The Amapianos and all that. So, also, now, there's a study that was done by SIPA in conjunction with WIPO, in 2019 measuring the economic contribution of copyright industries, and it was reported that 5.46% come from UN industry, music, film, literature, and so forth. And the industry as a whole ranks 8th more in terms of contribution to GDP. And high compared with other sectors, the traditional sectors like mining and so forth, copyright industries employ 2.66%, and those industries, mining and so forth. Without wasting too much time, these are not just numbers. These are numbers that they tell a story of where we are in our industry and also the potential that this industry holds. So, challenges. What is the situation more high? Because obviously there are challenges. This is why Rasa Khono reach here, what these other countries are reaching. So is it law enforcement gaps maybe? Is it that our artists maybe lack knowledge and business skills? Or is it our population in? So these are issues where we hope our panelists can cover to paint a picture for us. And let me start maybe by asking our panelists to introduce themselves just briefly, so that of course some don't need introduction, but just a brief introduction.
Okay, good morning. My name is Jones Muitepi. I'm a legal practitioner, and I've been practicing law for, I think, 16 years as at the end of this year, as young as I look. I suppose my relevance in the context of the present discussion is because I've had some involvement in some copyright issues, I think for the better part of the past years. So I hope I could be of some use to you in the course of this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Master DCC. Well, when it comes to music, I live music, I sleep music, I walk music, I talk music. I've been in the music industry. I started, for those who, some of you or most of you who don't know, the formation of the Police Dance Band was started by me in 1989. And from there, I'm happy because today, SIPA has called me 26 years later, because in 1999, I was in the same panel like this one, where we were amending the Copyright Act, which birthed the copyright and neighboring rights of 2000. Now you can see it's 26 years later that I'm called here for people to recognize. I'm happy for them to see that I'm still alive and kicking. Other than that, I'm a musician. I studied music. I read and write music. I studied first my certificate in Nella Hall School of Music in the United Kingdom. I also went to Kingston University to do my diploma in music and technology business. I also did my degree in Solent University, still in the United Kingdom, where I did popular music production. So, if I can speak, I've produced a number of, some of artists are here, most of them are here. I see Pemperetle there. When you talk about Lugulutuli Morena, one of the first productions that I did, Bo Lugulutuli Morena, Bo Black Zebras, Mugelile Nikanye. So those were the people. I can talk more about my production. In terms of the My Star products, I see a number of people, more than 30 artists that I've produced. Through the help of the government, 30 have managed to go to universities.
Ke batla go tsena ka no re Mr. D.
Tota nna introduction nka bua the whole day.
I think due to time constraints, re tla ema gone ho ka Mr. D. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Samantha Mohoe, and I am a singer-songwriter. I'm also a broadcaster, and I see the station that actually taught me broadcasting right there, Gabs FM. I am also a project manager. I think I've been in the entertainment industry for just over 10 years. Lots of lessons, lots of conversations, and I've seen a lot of changes, but also see a lot of gaps and a lot of lacking places that need improving.
Thank you.
My name is Nzele Hashfold. I am the former president of Botswana Entertainment Promoters Association, BEPA. I'm also the founder of Women of Wax Botswana and also the president of Zen Promotions, which is one of the companies that has really pioneered and championed in terms of contributing to managing Botswana's creative, talented artists and brands that include Vimampizi, Benti, Nunu Ramohodzi, just to mention a few. I'm also a creative, I'm a director of ceremony, I'm also an actress, which I rarely share, but you know, I've done a little bit of acting alongside Botswana's country and talented son of the soil, Franco. And I'm excited that we're celebrating this very special day, intellectual property.
Thank you very much. Ke dumela gore with those brief intros, ra kgona go lemoga gore we are in good hands. Allow me to start with you, Master D, with the experience that you have. Gone gore you've witnessed the evolution of music, distribution from go dirisa di cassette into the CD, you know, the memory stick at some point, now into streaming. Jack earlier that globally it's generating millions for those economies except us. In your view, is the local industry adapting at a satisfactory level? And are we keeping up? Keep up? What are your views?
Well, I think we're doing well, but not to the expectation that I can say we should be in. I would say the local industry, adaptation is uneven, I must say. When we started doing my musical background go as far as those cassettes, and I used to be one of the people going to that station buying the needle for for the record and those who used to play records. And the music industry right now have taken a shift because most people, I think, the problem is accessibility to internet. If you go to the rural areas, most people don't have the gadgets to start doing those streaming platforms. You lack internet, therefore you can't. Right now my music is on Spotify. If you go on Spotify, you go Apple Music, you are able to type Master D, blah, 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 and my song will come. What about the person who stays in Zuzwa? Those activities, I mean, platforms are not there. I think a lot needs to be done. We need to be very intentional in getting internet, getting the internet, because our internet even is very slow.
Yes.
For you to upload something is also where we're lacking. I feel, for that, I think we're progressing and accelerated, and we need a tech educational to make sure that the affordability of internet that can bridge those gaps. And collaboration with these internet service providers, they are the ones who can actually inject the power in these artists to say, okay, come, let's help you, because them are already in the service providers. Say, the likes of Mascom, the likes of BTC, the likes of Orange, those can help in that regard.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Samantha, I see your mic being fixed. Okay. He talks of internet, and I had the PS Kantile touching a bit on that, PS wa MCI, and I hope that is something in order to Samantha, still on the same beat, what has this done for you, for your music business, and obviously that of your fellow musicians, streaming platforms and so forth?
Well, streaming platforms have brought opportunities and challenges. Let me just be honest. If you look at some of the opportunities, we look at accessibility, but not in the terms of the way Master D speaks of it. Accessibility in terms of allowing music to go beyond the borders of Botswana. So somebody can stream your music from South Africa, they can stream your music from Finland, they can stream your music from anywhere across the globe. And so that in itself is an opportunity, which means we are proudly taking Botswana music to the world at the press of a button. You know, you've got your Spotify's, you've got your digital streaming platforms. I think another opportunity is also being able to diversify your income stream. When you are accessible, it becomes easier for you to be headhunted or find yourself in spaces where you can make more money. Let me give an example, sync deals. So sync deals, for artists who are here, they are quite aware of sync deals where your music is used on movies, your music is used on series, your music is used on video games. That pays quite well. And so that is an opportunity that has come up from having our music on digital streaming platforms. Another opportunity that has come from it is an artist having independent control over their music. Right now we've got platforms such as DistroKid, we've got platforms such as TuneCore, which allow an artist to pay an annual fee, and the artists themselves are able to load their own music. And this platform allows your music to be available across your digital streaming platforms. So it's completely cut off the middleman who usually gets a cut, which is a plus for the artist. In terms of challenges though, remember I spoke about making money from streaming. Unfortunately, the money isn't where it should be. I was looking at the statistics for streaming for Spotify, and I found it quite interesting because for every single stream, they pay out in dollars 0.003 to 0.008 US dollars per stream. So if you're gonna make $1,000 US from your music being streamed, you need to stream up to about 250,000 streams. And that in itself does not make a lot of sense. And that's why some artists to this day also find it better to sell physical CDs because they make more money in terms of return in investment. I mean, that's a challenge. Another challenge, Master D's already spoken to it, like internet, lack of digital infrastructure, you've already spoken to it, so I don't think I need to speak to it.
Yeah.
There's also issues around piracy. Yes, you know, digitalization has come with great, amazing opportunities, but people are still sharing our songs on WhatsApp. They are still streaming our music from certain websites that are illegally streaming our music. And at the end of the day, we, the artists, lose out on being able to commercialize off of our IP. So those are the challenges and opportunities that I've seen over the past few years.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It resonated with them. There's a clap. Talking of piracy and infringement, of course now in the digital space it's rampant online, but even physically, even physically we still see some people holding the briefcase nyana tsa di CD, still selling in shopping malls. And we want to know, is this maybe a failure on the side of the law? Are there any enforcement issues? Is that the reason why we still see, after this many years, SIPA and the Minister of Trade have before conducted these raids to confiscate pirated music and DVDs, but still, basantse ba le teng in shopping malls? What is the issue there?
Yes, I think I'll answer the question in two parts. I think the starting point is that there's the cultural aspect of it, the way I see it, which is basically that the people's relationship with music is such that a lot of us have been socialized to know music as a freely accessible commodity. You know, I like to compare this with water. You know, when I was growing up in the villages, you had standpipes not too far from your yard. So water was very easily accessible. So you can imagine my shock when eventually I got to learn that there are some people packaging water and then selling it in the stores. It was a weird experience for me because I'm thinking this is something that is supposed to be free and easily accessible, and now people are seeking to make a profit off of it. So I think that is the same perception that a lot of people culturally have in relation to music. They perceive it as something that should be freely accessible, and that is making it very difficult for enforcement to be smooth sailing. The second part of it is legal in the sense that in as much as we have laws that protect, you know, like the copyright law, for example, it makes adequate provisions for ensuring that people's works are not illegally copied and sold in the malls in the manner that you are suggesting. But the problem is that enforcement is very expensive. If you take the example that currently under the Copyright Act, we only have one collective management organization, which is, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's under 20 years old.
Started in 2011, somewhere there, yes.
2011,
Yeah.
thereabout. So it is faced with a mammoth task of enforcing the law, because then you have this cultural perception that I've spoken about, which contributes to music being utilized in the manner that it is, and people having this relationship of an entitlement to consume music without necessarily paying for it. So you are bound to have enforcement issues. And as I've said, enforcement is quite expensive because you need quite a lot of manpower to deploy people to attend to all these violations. Is quite a costly process. So my concluding remarks would be, listen, it's something that will take a bit of time, but we will get there. I mean, just as much as I thought it was strange to be consuming packaged water when I thought water was supposed to be free, right now, like most of you, I'm consuming packaged water. So I think eventually people, as they get to be educated about copyright and the fact that these are works which people earn a living through, they will be more receptive to enforcement measures that are being implemented by collective management organizations and so forth.
Okay, but while you're still there, what about businesses that are supposed to acquire music licenses from Cosmos, and they still choose to play music broadcast to the public without these licenses? And maybe before we wrap, I want to ask, just by show of hand, to our artists, hore, ke ba le kae ba lona ba e leng gore ha le tsena, say in a salon, in a shop, you know, a supermarket, you find music playing, you look for or you ask for a Cosmos license. Because I say this because Ghana copyright is a private right, okay? Which means you, the owner, have to enforce it before the authorities come in. So just by show of hand, hela hore bon ke mang o tsena mo shopong a ba re music wa le ga ke bone license ya Cosmos. Okay. All right. Okay. Yes, you may go ahead, Rejoins.
Yes, the stores, again, at the risk of sounding repetitive, I think it develops from the perception that I've talked about. The fact that people perceive themselves as entitled to consume music in the manner that they are consuming it, and not perceiving it as a valuable product. We don't see music the same way you see furniture. No one thinks of themselves entitled to just walk into your house and take your furniture. But everyone sees themselves as entitled to consume music, especially because I think growing up, the most prevalent mediums were TV and radio. So music was always blaring from the radio broadcast and so forth. So we thought, because we are receiving it freely, then it is not a commodity that any real value should be attached to it. So, yes, we are seeing that because of, I think, that socialization, that a lot of people perceive themselves to be so entitled. But from my experience, some effort is being made, especially by the collective management organization, to try to educate people, especially the business owners. My only take on this thing is it'll take a bit of time, because for as long as people don't understand why they have to have the type of relationship that we're trying to teach them to have with music, they will always be resistant to enforcement measures.
Okay. Recross Maheshfeld, what about in your industry, the promoters? Are you aware, or are they aware of their responsibilities as it regards licensing and so forth?
I think it's a 50-50, honestly, Deba, because, Cosboards has actually really tried to advocate and then, get to engage promoters with the help of BEPA, of course, to sit and understand the value of why promoters need to license their events. And it doesn't only take only promoters. We also have, other factors, or Koromendelene itself registers events. Right now we are sitting in an event that also plays music. So what I've observed is that, there is a general knowledge that is out there to understand about paying or licensing for your event. But in terms of understanding the responsibilities, that it can actually be a win-win situation for both parties. Ghana, if at all Women of Works license its events when it has a women's festival, even with Samantha on stage performing, she's not only receiving a payment from the performance of a live show, she's also receiving for the fact that her music is actually even being performed, either even by a DJ or just for the fact that she was doing it with a live performance. So I think it's a matter of just, getting out the education to go out there. And like how Master D was saying that, for the lack of the fact that even though we're in the digitalized era, there are other areas where we get to meet and see that, the industry know-how in terms of other promoters or other people that are using the use of the artists get to understand the real value. This is a value chain. Because if I'm able to, as Women of Works or Zen Promotions, to pay and license my events, I should understand that this puts the artist in a betterment way of improving their craft, of staging better production and producing quality music, which at the end of the day demands for their growth. Because there's always been an argument where some promoters feel that, our BW artists don't produce the quality or don't bring in the numbers as per the international artist. And I think, in my view, we need to understand, the value and the responsibility of why at the end of the day I need to license my event. And what goes where, because as I say, either one way or the other, it's a win-win situation for both the promoter or the event manager, as it may be, because it doesn't only take promoters, it also takes other event managers that curate events. That is the other mistake that I've observed, that, in terms of licensing, many people think it's only to do with festivals. The general language, it's only a few of us that understand that even in beauty pageantry, you need to get your event license. Like you just said, even in a business, you get to get, your business licensed in order to use the music. So, those are just a few, just to say hello. But I must say that I'm very impressed that Cosboards have actually taken a leap. I was in Maung, I think like 2-3 weeks ago, and actually saw one of Botswana's artists, Chris Manto 7, actually getting in establishments and really teaching, the establishment about the importance of licensing. And I think they have agents now. So I believe that if that could actually, go into other separate corners of Botswana, but the internet, we may be able to say that, our artists are finally reaping what they've sown for.
Okay. Can I say that this is so refreshing? There used to be a point where Habadiragazi, Lerona, in the administration and artists, Hokopano, Honna fire, no, Cosbos, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. And can I say this is so refreshing to say, or to show that we really are getting somewhere as an industry? Cosbos is a Rematonyo artist to heart, and they're doing something about them. I want to come to you, Master D, again, in your opinion, Hori. Is the music industry doing enough to foster IP-based collaborations? Because essentially when you own a right, it's basically a bundle of rights where you can commercialize or you can license out and so forth. Are we doing enough in that space, merchandising and so forth?
Yeah, I think the IP collaborations remains to be undeveloped. I must say, remains to be undeveloped. A major hurdle of this is lack of robust legal framework. I know Cosbos, they have these CMOs, that the contractual agreement that they have for CMO, that they have the standardized one. I think we need, basically, we need CMO standardized contracts, which basically I've had in one of the meetings with Cosbos, they were saying they do have such contracts at their office. Partnership, that we need a partnership that can actually model the whole thing so that we can, you see, artists, some of the artists that I've seen when you're talking about the collaboration, it's at an infant stage to me, as I can say. We really need that. For example, I mean, when talking about even licensing, most people think, even sometimes when you are licensed, you can still be robbed. I've licensed my craft in South Africa there are different types of licensing. You can license, you have a distribution deal license for your music to be distributed. You can have production deal. Those are kind of things. But if we don't have a contract, my advice would be to say, don't have a contract, say, it's okay. That verbal contracts don't work. Even if you want to be manipulated on a contract, because it happened to me. I signed a contract for a distribution deal, and the guy changed the whole thing in South Africa because I mean we were relying in South Africa for distribution or most of the time. They changed when I went to Sambro to get my royalties. I realized that you are taking 50% because the other 50% is taken by your producer. I said, who's my producer? This is a licensing deal. They said, no, but you signed. I said, where did I sign? They brought the papers only to find that when I signed for the distribution deal, the guy took the paper, made a photocopy, and sent it to Sambro. So I couldn't argue anymore because my signature was there. But you see, even it's like that, at least when you have something written, is better than a verbal contract.
From Remu Tshepi as our legal person, this issue of contracts, the fine print, in many cases, we have heard that artists, a contract, I don't want to say under duress, but because of their circumstances, because of that exposure, even though the terms they see favorable to them. I want to know what are the legal safeguards or support structures that are there or that we can have to safeguard this very issue, the contract for our artists?
Okay. That one is a bit difficult because firstly we operate in a free market. There's something called freedom of contract, and that means everyone is free if you are of age to enter into any type of agreement as long as it's legal upon such terms as you may mutually agree. So it is very difficult to try to monitor that kind of situation. But the issue of fine print, again, you'll also notice, I'm convinced it's also more of a cultural issue than a legal issue, in the sense that it is generally not the norm for people to read contracts and the fine print. I'm a lawyer. I can tell you very many times I've signed a loan agreement without having gone through the terms of it. And typically, the person who's assisting me just simply points, sign there, sign there, sign there. Yeah. I think we are too preoccupied with trying to get the end product that oftentimes you overlook these things. But as for, that was my way of trying to say that because of the concept of freedom of contract, it is very difficult for the law to make any regulations in relation to that. But what do I think can be done? I like what Master D was saying about CMO standardized contracts. I think they can help, but the difficulty will be that, in as much as the CMO can recommend the standard terms for a certain type of engagement, it cannot compel people to enter into contracts on the basis of those terms. What I wish the law could do, I've never seen it done anywhere, but for me, there's no reason in principle why this cannot be done. I wish there could be legislation that makes provision for minimum terms of engagement in the same manner as we have under the Employment Act. The Employment Act basically stipulates that an employer is not entitled to enter into an agreement with an employee for terms that are less favorable than the ones stipulated in the Act. So I don't see why, in principle, that cannot be done in relation to engagements of creatives. To say there's a law that specifies the minimum terms, and should you be found to have entered into a contract with this person on terms that are less favorable than those that are prescribed by the Act, then you will be compelled to compensate them for an amount that is equivalent to if you had met the threshold. So it is not something that is already in place, but like I said, I don't see any reason in principle why that cannot be done. The reality on the ground is, and the reason why we have an Employment Act is because it was noticed a long time ago that employment is a very important thing in the sense that it's the source of sustenance for a lot of people. But so is the work that is done by the creatives. And in fact, we are noticing that most of us are, in recent times, the employment space is not able to absorb people as much as it used to. When we finished school, some of us, we just completed some form somewhere, and then TPSM would call us a month or two later, and we were slotted somewhere. But that is not happening. So that means we need to equally protect other sources of sustenance. And one of the ways that I think that could be done is legislation that prescribes minimum terms of engagement.
Flowing from that, the economic contribution study that I talked about earlier, done by SIPA and WIPO, stated as a challenge that the music industry does not have a specific law that regulates it. And as a result, the industry as a whole is now subject to other regulations or laws that were not, that when formulated, didn't have exactly the interests of the industry at heart, such as the Noise and Nuisance Act, the Liquor Act of 2003, the Trade Act of 2003. And I think this one, all of you can answer. I'm told we are doing very badly with time. Okay, I will take Samantha and Zenza. What do you think about this law? Do you think it can assist the situation as we see it?
I honestly feel that, as it was just said in the beginning, in the beginning, when we thought of a song, that on its own, hella just breeded a wrong breed in terms of the perception to do with the, with anything that has to do with music, especially in our country. But I'm very glad that, for most of the years, we've really advocated through the music associations that have existed, being Bobepa, being Bobomu, and strongly spoke about noise and nuisance. You cannot have a law called noise and nuisance, because in the first place, just its name, it diminishes the artist, in all its way. So, the acting PS said this morning when he was just giving the opening remarks that, changing laws and regulations of law, it takes all of us to be part of that. It does not only take the men and women that sit in parliament, it also takes us as well to equally contribute and say and give the information, why do we really want the music to be regulated? And I believe we have reached the season and the time is now for us to fix, what we feel needs to be regulated, because the industry, you're just saying statistics at the end of the session of how, the creative space contributes to the economical growth of Botswana. So that on its own has shown that we're a viable industry that is here to stay. And actually that can actually even help with this to diversify Botswana's economy.
Thank you very much. We'll try and speed it up. Give us maybe 5 more minutes. Samantha, as a broadcaster and a musician, I'm glad that you're here. What do you think about quota of local music on radio stations?
This is a very interesting one because I think currently the quota is at 51%. That's what the quota is at. Local 51%, international 49%. But every year, Cospots releases statistics of how much money has been collected and dispersed through royalty payments. And every single year, it seems like the general trend is local disbursement, it's like 30%. And so what is that saying? Is the quota being implemented? Because if it was, the collection and the dispersion amongst local creatives would be way more than 51%. So it's, it's a questionable one. I think some radio stations are trying. I know in September, Yarna FM was playing an entire month of Yes, Mr. O. An entire month of Proudly BW Music to commemorate our Independence Month. Botswana were complaining, others were like, this is amazing. But, I think it requires bold steps. South Africa took a bold step with the SABC when they said 90% local music. And because of a bold step such as that, we have been able to witness as a neighboring country how fast their music industry has grown in leaps and bounds, because they were selfish about, the rules that they put in place for their artists. So yeah, the Kota one it can be improved, it should be improved.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that Hamadia Kosbotatsena this year in terms of the local dispersion of money.
Right. Thank you for that. We would have failed dismally if you don't cover this one. Remu is happy. The issue of monetization of content. We have stars like William Last and Baba Ngobailongo. They have a huge following on the internet, but somehow what's lacking still is that monetization part. What are the legal or structural barriers that you know of we can deal with them to improve the situation?
Okay. Well, outside of the fact that you probably don't have a lot of people monetizing their content, I think that is largely attributable to the fact that the platforms themselves do not make their programs available here. For example, if you take YouTube, I think it's called the YPP, YouTube Partner Program or something like that. It is available in South Africa, so people are able to monetize in South Africa. But I think one of the reasons why the platforms, the typical platforms are not available here in that manner is, right now we're talking about enforcement. I mean, if you are YouTube and you are learning that Botswana is struggling with enforcement, you are unlikely to be incentivized to say, because you see, these platforms literally trade. Their core business is the distribution of IP material. So they bear an obligation to their subjects, that is the content producers, to protect them wherever they're utilized. So if you are going to come to a territory where you have concerns about enforcement, you are unlikely to make those programs available. So I think, firstly, enforcement measures are making it difficult for these platforms to be available to us in the manner that they are in, for example, South Africa. While we're talking about enforcement, I can give an example of, earlier I mentioned that we only have one collective management organization here. In South Africa, you have several. So that means it is less burdensome on them in South Africa to deal with issues of enforcement as compared to us who only have a single CMO, which is supposed to address enforcement issues throughout the entire country. Secondly, and as quickly as I can, I believe some of the contributors to us not being able to monetize our content have to do with the fact that a lot of our laws might need a lot of updating. You must understand that a lot of our laws were, for the most part, imported wholesale from other countries, whether it's the UK and so forth. And they would have been put in place at times when we didn't see the kind of developments that we've now come to see. So in as much as the Copyright Act may, for example, protect digital copying of music and so forth, you might find that it lacks provisions that deal with the monetizing aspect of it. And for as long as we don't update our laws to make sure that we give these platforms the confidence to say, we have kept pace with technological developments, then they will be less likely to make the resources available to us, and monetizing will always be a problem for, among other things. I have other reasons, but I think because we have time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I wish we had more time, but hello, just 2 seconds. If you were to introduce a system, Samantha, Zenzel, if you introduce a system to empower artists to be able to derive real value from the IP system, what would it be? Just briefly.
I think if I were to introduce a system that will actually help, it will actually force the private sector. You know, I believe that our private sector is really not injecting much in terms of giving just to the whole creative space. I think we've reached the time and the season to, you know, say now in terms of really getting them to, as equally as they are, you know, contributing in the sporting fraternity, it should actually even, you know, similar laws and regulatory should come into the creative space. I believe that if molao wa rona law no o ka tsepama, and you know at sports they have tax rebates. I think it's high time we also try and look at the possibilities of also, you know, having, you know, our legal laws and regulations changing to adapt to have the private sector really inject, you know, income into the creative space as a whole.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, you can organize maybe a music pizza so that we can, you know, address all these issues in context, just as a suggestion. Thank you very much.
Okay, please allow me to effectively manage interaction between us and people on stage. Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you so much, moderator. That's all I'll say. You've shared very compelling insights on what you've discussed. And from a radio host perspective, I can actually attest to some of the points that you raised. You know, just by judging by the response from neighboring countries to the music that we play on air from our local artists. So while we are waiting for a decision on whether we're going to have a pizza in the future or not, I'd like to give just two people an opportunity to ask questions to the panel. Hang on. Just two people, and this is not because I do not want you to interact. It's because we are wary of time and we need to allow other items in the program to happen as planned. Okay? Could somebody give my colleague a roving mic so that they can? Shall we take one from this side and one from that side? Just two questions, Mama Tlapi. The gentleman there has the mic. And while we are waiting for the mic to arrive, let's also remember that we are here to commemorate World Intellectual Property Day. So let's try to stick to the subject and not veer away from what we are here to do. Katlotlo, ki ikobile.
Dumelang le kae? Lina ke game go aba one bantsi la bodiragatsi ke Seswa Morepa. I want us to speak very frankly today about rhetoric versus reality. Ke ratile kgang ya ga nele Machola ona aboka le motimile moral right ga la mo kwala mo di creditsing tsa lona ne. The reality versus the rhetoric is there's a huge gap. You know, IP commercial value was highlighted. Ke re Masiga, protection ke re Ramaphosa. I'll tell you about something that happened leading up to this event to me from SIPA. I get an invite, not even an invite, I get a 2-line email. We would like to use your intellectual property for a documentary around World IP Day or something like that. Essentially a sync deal, right? Consent forms. So it's almost like there's a bit of duress going on here. I get it. I go on to ask her, how are you asking me for my IP for free? Organization, you protect our interests. Copyright and Neighboring Acts, going up to Berne Convention, non-commercial use, educational purposes. Now, I want to give this to Remuite because the spirit of the law, right? I think it's important for us to speak about the spirit of the law, and I want you to touch on this for yone coding ke inelwa eo. Essentially, harre solo se non-commercial. There's no other trade around it, I get it. So what I don't understand, God, how are you invoking such a clause to speak to the thing that is at the very mandate you speak to, Ribua IP? Obore, you are willing to, you want to take it for free. Me, Hartamu GICC, are you getting GICC for free? The people who are producing that documentary, are they doing it for free? The food that we're going to eat later, are we eating it for free? We're not. So we still have this attitude, despite now having a Copyright Act, despite having years of an entire ecosystem, it has supposed watchdogs. We still have an attitude, music, I get it. I was told we value your contribution when I responded as such. But I get, no, you don't. Because value, there's a pooler value. I get it. There's a pooler value to GICC. So, are changing this whole entire ecosystem and our approach to doing things. Because GICC, guess what? Probably makes more money every year than all of our combined IP. Am I lying? And the Botswana government prioritizes that. So can we start prioritizing us?
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to give you the respect fit for your stage name. You are Zeus, right? Can you just highlight the two questions that you had?
No. I suppose it's about comment, right?
Say, question.
No. First thing is the spirit of the law. I was being quoted. No, we can use your works in an educational manner. Educational manner. Do you see what I mean? There's a contradiction there. There's a hypocrisy there. I need Rewamolao to speak to. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Shall we get the roving mic to the other side?
Dumela. Hello, people. Good morning. Hello, people. Hello. Yes. Here, we are not in the funeral here. I get it. We are happy here. Huh? This is not a memorial service. Now I come back to the roots. I've heard hope you work please. Koli Randy Festival Tengwa. Hali di permit ya cosbots. Kwa kitola kia ting. I know. And even though it is not a club, it is a bar. Kebarama emo. Waiti. Hajibato ibu akalila. 2. The radio station ya. Hali little di pinataru na akalila. Hey na. Like it. Mr. Rule, very true. Madia Jomola Hatsinle. Aya konte. Madi. Aswamo. Aya konte. Arautona sinte. He's in the music industry and the taxi industry. I do cross-border transport. Yes. Mumbai, Abu Dhabi, New Delhi, and Jaipur. Drinking some buffalo milk.
Thank you, my
leader. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse to an offense committed. Stop pirating yourselves. Mutu arikisa CD is in a hologram. Mutu ai pirate an artist pirating himself. That is an offense punishable by the law.
Indeed.
This is unlawful and malicious and unreasonable.
Thank you, sir.
Sharp. Clap hands for me.
Yes. Okay, he's encouraging us to be very happy, which is a very good thing, a very positive thing to encourage everybody to do. But I would like to take this moment before the panel and the moderator respond to those questions to recognize and acknowledge the arrival of Re Jacob Kilibeng Oiling Tona ya Kanamaina Chinchamalati. The Minister of Sports and Arts, Nerebuile Alokantele Horotla Horohatarigana Chorgitedimi, Arimo Belendiata, Uhorohile. Re a go amogela se, re a go amogela se. So let me hand over to you, Mamutlaping. Please have the panel respond to those two questions stroke comments.
Remuitshepi, may you respond to question Jesus?
Okay. My understanding of what Rebanzi was saying, I believe that's the saying, speaks more to him being concerned with the approach more than what the law stipulates. I think, listen, I sell legal services for a living. There's nothing wrong with you approaching me and saying, can you represent me for free? There's nothing wrong with that. But I suppose I would find it objectionable if you came to me and said, can you represent, no, will you represent me for free and let's meet at court tomorrow? That's an approach issue. But all in all, I don't think there's anything wrong with a SIPA, for example, requesting if your works can be utilized, which is why I'm saying I think you are really more concerned with the manner in which the request was fashioned. Well, it's why someone is willing to do this and not that. I think it's more of maybe it speaks to the constraints that they have. It's a difficult one. The constraints that they have, because maybe GICC, given the nature of the event, will not be willing to offer their services for free, but they are hoping that perhaps you, as a beneficiary in the event, may very well offer your services for free. Which is why I'm saying, listen, I don't think it's really a legal issue. It's an approach issue.
Okay.
The mic, your mic is off.
No, I think what Zeus is trying to say, or what he's saying, I think it's a concern for most of the artists. You see, I'm happy because the minister is here, was sports and arts for us and Lebabang. What Zeus is saying, it's happening. Not only about, it's not the question of whether Ogoji ICC can go guy. You see, Minister, I'm not addressing you, I'm just saying, we have to look at this thing of government parastatal exploiting musicians. And when it comes to an issue, they will even call artists, they call it international, from South Africa, pay him or her a lot of money and pay nothing to our artists. That is something that we need to do. It's not a question, he's just sounding an alarm to say, Bagetso, when we're talking about the artists here, we want to empower the artists. The one thing that I wanted to throw in before we depart here is the fact that, look, events like this one could have been at the stadium, whereby we have called a lot of artists and make a festival to reward them on their day of intellectual property. We need to do that. One of the things that why you see artists go on a hungry stomach is because we're talking about the stream, how they can make money, they can make and living out of their hard work. Is we need to focus on how to upgrade and uplift our artists. It should start here. It should start here. Before I wanted to say this before. I have 3 points, Minister, that I want you to take them to Parliament. 1, establishment of IP office to streamline copyright registration and dispute resolution. We need to have invest in digital infrastructure. Invest in digital infrastructure. Expand internet access and fund Zenzel Nabuaga, the tax rebates. Tax rebates. We need artists to be funded. How we got sponsorship? That is what we're looking for.
Remastadi. Ha ke go interrupt se. Mamotlapi, o tla intshwarela ga ke tse marapo mo go wena. But nako e mpitla gantse. Ke itumella mahoko a buang e ka reng ka go raka re do it for you for the Wa bona pile. Me bagaetso re tla nna le sebaka se se hitang se sa go botsa dipotso mo ntlheng e latelang. The next item, we're going to be having ministers on stage taking questions from yourselves. Maybe let's cut this Q&A interaction short and save it for the next item. Are we in agreement? Okay. So I would like to request that the panel, together with the moderator, come to the side of the stage. Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. I apologize. They need to take a picture of you together. So you can just stand on stage and the photographer will come and do the honors. Mr. Photographer, please make your way up here so you can get your money shot. What was that? You mean? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. We'll straight away move on to the next item, where we will request the Minister of Trade and Entrepreneurship, Honorable Nzima, and Honorable Kilebeng, who is the Minister of Sports and Arts, gore batle ba pagame serala batle ba bue le rona me ba re he sebaka sa go akgela le go botsa dipotso tse leng gore di a tuka mo mahatleng a rona. I'm saying it in Setswana so that nobody misunderstands what's supposed to happen. I'd like to also remind everybody that re kopa gore, because we are here to commemorate World Intellectual Property Day, a re leke go sesagatsa dipotso tsa rona mabapi le IP. Re ska ra eta re bua ka tse dingwe re tla tla re di bona ka nako e re tla bolelwa. Ra dumalana ke re ditsala. Ga le dumalana bagolo ba tloga ba sa pagame. Yes, we'll also, to help us with what will be happening on stage, I would like to call upon Ms. Komotso Tukile, who will be moderating this session. Hakim Moni? Yeah, you guys. Which one is not? Okay, while Ma Tukile makes her way to the stage, re tla be re ntse re ha bagolo metsutsonyana gore ba wele sentle. Okay, jaaka ke ne ke bua mogolo santsa ile wa boa, I will hand over to Mayor Utukile so that she begins this next item on our agenda. Utukile.
Thank you very much, Masters of Ceremony. Bagaetsho dumelang. The Honorable Minister of Trade and Entrepreneurship, Mr. Tiroyaone Nzima, in his absence while he's coming back. The Honorable Minister of Sports and Arts, Mr. Jacob Kilebeng. The Acting Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Communications and Innovation, Mr. Cecil Masiga.
and all the dignitaries here present, Bagaetsho, and all the artists, for your reason, we are here. Very pleasant morning to you all. Bagaetsho dumelang. My name is Khomatsego Utukile. I also go by the name Miss K. That's my stage name. You may not know me as yet, but I'm also a singer, a poet, a rapper, and author as well. We will be getting into this discussion. It is not more of a question and answer session, but it is more of what you've been doing, what you had already started getting into. So we're going to get more of that. Basically, it's more of deliberations. Re tabo re buisana e le gore re na le bagolo ba rona ba e leng gore ba na le rona hano mosong ono gore they will give us audience, they will give us ear to hear what we have to say. Basically, we have challenges that already we have been taking note of, that we already have been speaking about. And when you come up with a challenge that you have noted, you also come up with a recommendation. Is that something that we have understood? Ra utlwana bagaetsho? Re mmogo? Okay. Thank you so much. All right. So, in a brief moment, we're going to be welcoming our ministers to the stage. But I'd like to recite this, which is what has been written by the World Intellectual Property Day. We can find this in their website. I think it's something to really digest as we commemorate this day. From the rhythms that invite us to dance to the lyrics that echo our emotions, music enriches every aspect of our lives. Music is a universal form of creative expression, and intellectual property rights play a pivotal role in supporting a vibrant and diverse music landscape. Music permeates every sector, and intellectual property fosters the presence of music beyond its own realm. From film, entertainment, and technology to fashion, video games, and consumer goods, intellectual property rights empower cross-industry connections with music, enabling creative synergies and innovation across sectors that fuel economic growth. Even when it is not in our minds, the beat and the rhythm of music and intellectual property are always present in our lives. Happy World Intellectual Property Day, everybody. Right, I will be inviting our honorable ministers as I will be giving their brief introductions for us to understand them or to know them better, really. The Honorable Minister Tiroyaone Kialeboga Nzima, the Minister of Trade and Entrepreneurship, holds a Bachelor of Social Science degree in Political Studies and Psychology from the University of Cape Town, South Africa. He also earned a senior certificate, a matric, from Rosebank College High in South Africa. From March to June 2015, he worked as an organizational development advisor for the World University Services of Canada and as a senior business consultant at Brent Packet Investment from July 2015 to date. Now, Honorable Nzima has held several leadership positions, including President of the Botswana Dance Sport Association and Dance Sport Africa, and Public Relations Officer for the Southern African Dance Sport Federation. He also demonstrated his leadership skills as a student parliamentarian and counselor at the University of Cape Town. He was honored with the Artist of the Year award for his achievements in dance from 2005 to 2007. A warm round of applause as we welcome him. A warm round of applause, please. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. And now, Honorable Minister Jacob Kelebeng is the Minister of Sport and Arts and Member of Parliament for Takatokwane constituency. He graduated from the University of Botswana with Bachelor of Arts, Social Science, Public Administration and Political Science. He is also a former SRC president and Minister of Sport at the university. Additionally, the Honorable Jacob Kelebeng has previously worked as a business consultant and community volunteer. As the minister, his main priorities are to grow the creative and sports sectors and ensuring they play a prominent role in our economy. Honorable Minister, you're welcome to the stage. A warm round of applause. Once again, good morning. I hope you can hear me well. All right, and now in starting our segment, I'm going to start by asking our honorable ministers just a question for us to get to know really how they relate with us who are here, right? I'm going to start with you, Honorable Minister Nzima. We have heard a bit, something there, raised an eyebrow when we were introducing you. Let's talk about your personal relationship that you have with the rhythms of music, basically music, and how it influences you, how it even influences your policy approach when we speak of intellectual property and music.
Thank you so much for the question. I'm a dancer, so when you talk about music, you're talking to something that is close to my heart. Seki sitsing thata le go se expressa through the body movement. So ke selo se ileng gore ke se tlhaloganya botoka thata le interpretation ya sone. Mme ke go lebogela gore o no setse o buile go le gontsi ka my journey as an artist, no setse o buile go le gontsi ka the contribution that I've made to the creative industry. I've also been a backup dancer for some of the artists, no. So ke so se leng gore ke setsa ka twagalo mme bile gape ke tlhaloganya tota le environment ya the industry in general ya gore e ntse jang le ha le bone ba ne ba eta ba ra abuse as dancers ke tlhaloganya botoka thata me coming to being where I am or my position as a minister or as a legislator ke gore melao e re batang go e dira ke yone ya go baakanya industry e ke e tlhaloganyang thata gore e nne conducive me gape le gore e tsamaelane le tse dingwe tse e leng gore we can call piggybacking mo go tsone tourism diamonds ha gona artists di sa tseneng teng but we've seen of course some elements of ambassadors appointed to represent some of the brands and even di issues tsone tsa bo tourism. So re batla gone gore create.
Thank you. Michael Garo Utang Sabotaja. Okay, you know, the rhythm in music to me is about the structure, the balance, and the flow. And as a legislator, the intention is to advocate for the systems that can actually maintain the harmony between the protecting the rights and also fostering the creativity. So, ke dumela gore how le sebini kana o tshwantse o supe creativity, mme that creativity must be protected. And how do we protect that activity? We need to enact the laws tse e leng gore they can actually make it possible. We don't want a situation e tshwanang le Zusi wa lela gompieno, because the very same system or the government that is supposed to be protecting and advancing his career, somehow it appeared to be exploiting his music career. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Bagaetsho re tsena mo puisanong yone ha le le ka honjana re le bitsa gantsi re re le pilediwa. I think it is a nice thing. I've always wanted to be part of an audience we call pilediwa. So congratulations, because you're going to be participating and your voice is going to be heard. So how we're going to be doing it is we're going to be having 3 segments of this discussion. So we're going to start with talking about the mandate of the 2 ministries that are here represented. And we're also going to move on to policy and legislation. And finally, we will take commercialization or market access. So those are the 3: mandate, policy and legislation. We will then move on to commercialization or market access. So basically, I'll be asking that when we are in segment A, please take note of the questions that you would like to ask there and make sure that they're in line with what we're talking about in that particular segment. If yours, the one that you have is on market access, please shelve it for the last part of the section and we will definitely hear you out. I would like that when we deliberate on this, that we are as respectful as we can be, that we are as calm as we can be. Amen. And we will just be going into it just like that. You will show by raise of hand if you'd like the microphone to be where you are and we can hear you out. Basically, it's not a question and answer where you are posing a question to the minister and you want him to answer. But basically, it is what we had already started doing, coming up with your challenges and the recommendations that you have thereof. So that is exactly how we start. If you have a comment, something you'd like to start with, we would like to hear you out. May the mic please be taken to where he is. Microphone let's keep our questions, our comments, our suggestions straight, precise, straight to the point.
Amen. Ki bidua go ke rumule ke modimo ba bangwe ba nkitse ke le Shihia. Mine is to the Ministry of Arts. Most of the department had the batla artist diako ministering wa arts to get that from them. Se ministry o se dirang ke gore ha le go gore ke Ministry of Presidential Affairs o ile ko youth ga go batla artist ba ntsha leina la artist ebe ba ntsha le code ya artist go gore ministry o beile gore artist duelwa 10,000 and that is it. Ga batle go go nna ke le Shihia gore kana Ministry of Presidential Affairs wa go tlhoka, how much are you demanding from them? Wemela hela witse gore okay fine ke a go duelwa 10,000. I was contracted by the Tubaruba last year with a fixed price. Yeleng go gore ministry wa sports and arts wa impela ke ya hela go Tubarubeng ke itse gore ke a go duelwa 10,000 gore o decidilwe ke mang ke ministry hela go jaanong ke re go ministry reneleng the bargaining ability ya gore ke ipuelle gore nna ke batla bokae le skala la mpela tlhwatlhwa hela make it gore kana from here to go and execute that performance is that 10,000. So ke a go sala ka eng? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Letsogo le le ko morago, I see Eddie there.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eddie Mihigo. I'm a creative consultant. I work with musicians and any other artists. And mine is just a comment of a challenge and a possible solution. We have two problems in our country. We tend to be a linear society in the sense that when we pick up new technology, we throw away the old one. We picked up digitalization in music, we threw away CDs, we threw away tapes. But what is happening is internationally, the vinyl has become the biggest way in which music is preserved and the biggest way in which musicians can actually make money. I'll give another example. The QR code was a product that was specifically and exclusively for BlackBerry devices. Today, we're using the QR code almost in every industry to kind of move away from wastage in terms of paper. Now, I would like to just advocate that artists, as we move away from dealing with labels, let us go back to CDs because that's a way of accessing your audience directly. And I think the ministries that are represented today by our ministers up front will be able to assist you because this is something that they've already have knowledge in. That's number one. Number two, I think with the last discussion, one thing that I missed was terms and definitions. We didn't define what IP is. We didn't define what royalties are, the different types of payments and how they're categorized, and how artists and writers can benefit from those payments. And that means there's education which is lacking. What I'm working on right now is a way we can bridge the gap by directly picking from what South Africa is doing. Every month, there's something called the Music Business Network in South Africa, which brings together SAMRO, Capasso, and all other organizations, and the private sector as well, to empower musicians. Because if you walk into an establishment and to bring someone to book about copyright infringement, if you don't know the law, that person will quote something that doesn't exist, and you won't be able to defend yourself. So I'd like to urge the ministries to really, when I do send that email for partnership, and it's not a money-based partnership, it's a value-based partnership. I'm proposing that every month we have a workshop that intends on empowering musicians freely on some of these terms that are important in them knowing what their value is, not just as individuals, as creators, but also as businesses. Please allow us to do this work, allow us to empower the people who really make Botswana the shining light that it is in the region and in the continent. So those are my two comments, lady and gentlemen. Thank you so much, and that email will come on Monday morning. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Let's proceed to the two hands here at the front. The mic. I have two hands here at the front. Where's the mic? Two hands at the front. All right, let me just say in the meantime that we're not just going to be us talking. Of course, we're going to have our honorable ministers responding to what we are deliberating on. In the meantime, whilst we're waiting for the mic to reach this side, let's have the Honorable Minister Gilebeng responding to the two comments that have been made from the two people.
Mike, the first question ke ya ga Shehia ke go uzwa gore he was talking about the procurement processes, more especially for the creatives. We have had a conversation. When I first got into office, one of the things I did was to consult. We have had Arts Pitso. We have also met with Business Botswana. And one of the things that we discussed was the procurement, more especially for the creatives. So, creativity and artists their way of maybe determining their prices. Therefore, they should be treated differently. So, when we discuss an issue, we need to, in fact, we are currently working on the frameworks. We will have conventional procurement specifically for the creatives, where we be treated differently. The National Fund of Funds, creatives will be treated differently, so that this is a special sector that deserves special attention. So, and then there was, I think those were suggestions from that gentleman. Keep CD of which we support, and also to have maybe frequent meetings engaging the creatives. It's something that we are working on. National Arts Council, part of what they do, more often to discuss issues surrounding the creatives. Just to improve our connection and also so it's something that can be done, and we are willing to do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Let's proceed to the other question. Before then, let's take a response from Honorable Minister Nzima.
Yeah, just to add salt to that is that government has to be intentional about helping the artists. I think in the past we've seen that you have fewer artists who are benefiting from government ECD tender appointed directly, and that also brings the gap between those who are doing very well and those that are very low. So those are things that government must really watch out for. Highly competitive, not where a certain artists are picked over others. And then the other thing, the budget. Right now we know 100 million is earmarked for YDF. So the same budget must also be clear to artists. This amount of money, or 100 million as a match to YDF, is strictly reserved for artists. I think what Zeus was raising earlier, when we do our budget, we'll rather budget for GICC. But we know there's going to be an artist there, but then we don't put a budget for an artist. So something that government needs to be proactive on, not just government, everyone who's going to be engaging artists.
Thank you very much. From the comments and the suggestions, I can see we're also touching on the last part, which is market access, which is fine. But at this moment, let's just make sure we focus on the mandate of the two ministries that are represented here today. So let's just remember that, and also remember the theme of the day today. Feel the beat of intellectual property. Let's take the next question.
My name is Songabe Sekeshabile from Differently Abled Entrepreneurs Village. We prefer to be called Dave. We cover the whole of Botswana. Apparently, we have a situation coming here because in disability inclusion, because of unemployment at 90%, so therefore, we are all artists. And most of the artists, they are persons with visual impairment.
because maybe probably according to WHO, in every population, we have 16% of persons with disabilities. So therefore, with 2.359 million in Botswana, we have around 377,440 persons with disabilities in Botswana. Therefore, the other thing is that from there we have our caretakers, who are our children and also our parents. And if ever we take a scale of a number that is almost 400,000 and a scale of 1:1 child, 1:1 parent. So therefore, almost 400,000 times 3, because they are our caretakers. So therefore, we find ourselves with a population of almost more than half the population of our country. The reason why we are starting with statistics is because the problem we have worldwide is this issue of the power of data, which as differently abled entrepreneurs village, which is a company limited by guarantee, basically the collaboration and partnership efforts before they reach the ministries or whoever, we shall start first of all. From here we already have a document that answers all the solutions that we are going to submit from here to our two ministers. I'm sorry I didn't greet protocol observed. Let me start first of all by greeting by greeting my ministers. Actually, the ministers are apparently, this is where the root of our profession begins, because at Dave, we believe everybody brings in their certifications, and when we go outside, we go out as one person, because we realize that the informal sector, inclusive ourselves, they are having a challenge whereby they are skilled, they have the knowledge, and they do have the experience, but when it comes to qualifications, there is a challenge. And therefore, that's the reason why the collaboration and partnership efforts is to make sure that we don't leave anyone behind. And now coming to the topic of the day, with the solution that we've made is because of our objectives that we have. And the mandate of differently abled is not limited to the quality of life, not limited to vulnerable population, in particular to persons with disabilities. And what we are going to say is a commitment that we've even submitted it for the International Disability, for the Global Disability Summit, which is starting from the 1st to the 3rd of April 2025, and of which we believe that we are going to make sure that the 32 representing Botswana through that commitment, that is not the commitment for individuals, that is the commitment for our country, looking at the inclusive national sustainable development plan or program, because all of them, they are certified for this. So basically,
let's just remember
now,
to keep to time.
The objective, which includes the topic of the day, like we are solution makers with prototype solution, where we need to take data from home to make sure that we be able to know that, like for example, in this event, we could have, made somebody whom we don't know through the intellectual property that is already there, which has got a solution, rather than using the same person time and again because of that, because we'll be able to know the number of our creatives. So that is the reason why we ended up making a resource bank that has got almost everything, with the following objectives, whereby we look at the digital entrepreneurial education and business skills development for individuals and also organizations, and also to support entrepreneurial digital of sustainable transfer and innovation. And also promoting entrepreneurship policies. We are glad they've already said about it, inclusive.
I'm sorry to cut you short. Kindly please just zone it down right there. We are out of time.
It's important because this is what we are going to do, more so that we are avoiding to comment in the next one. Inclusive the national entrepreneurship policy, and also empowering entrepreneurial regulatory environment. This is where we are. Inclusive intellectual property protection. Amidst the business.
Let me just say,
formal sector.
the Honorable Minister of Sport and Arts is inviting you to his office, to the ministry, to come and deliberate further with him on that.
Thank you so much. And also inclusive, both of them that from here, maybe to.
Most definitely. Thank you so much. I think she's bringing up some strong and important points there, and they do deserve better audience. We're going to take 3 more hands before we can now zone it down and proceed to the next section. I have seen that hand right there. Microphone, kindly work with me. Yes, the gray cap.
Hello? Dumelang bagolo. Ke ne ke re dumelang bagolo. Nna ke na le dipotso tse pedinyana.
Okay, so kindly going forward, make sure you get the cue from me, okay?
Oh, hallelujah.
Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Amen. Nna ne ke kopa sengwe botsadi. Ne ke re a re le badiragatsi. Ra sotlega. Ena re sotlegana re tlhoka madi. Ene re le badiragatsi yana re employile batho ba ile gore ba amagala kgwedi le kgwedi mo di officing mme a re bone dithuso. Potso e latela ke gore re le badiragatsi re employile batho gape ba na le access to the loan, the mortgage eng. Rona re irisa di orange money gore la ile cosbo tse palwa ke go re buelela gore batho ndirelang batho ba di account eng. Another last question ke gore ke ipotsa gore tota artla tsamare le badiragatsi re ratiwa mo eleng gore gona ana instrument ya modiragatsi o ha go ntshitse yone go tsentswe saxophone nkebe a le hanga ba performa pina gagwe a ja sengwenyana ke a leboga.
Thank you very much. Yes, the next comment.
Dumelang bagolo, my name is Leboga Matsaba. Low comment on both ministers. Re bone budget talo na ka budget speech ore ena le sengwenyana. Mehela, we cannot speak about IP music without the producer, the writer, le batho ba diragatseng ka art. So ne re kopa hore ha ele comment gore both of you ale kala kopana la ira a school of music whereby people can go and learn how to be producers. You don't have producers in Botswana. We don't have people who can write music, both gospel and pop music. I don't know poets who call pop music, lyrics. And we see in South Africa, whereby there's a school called Soul Candy, where producers have been produced, both Kido, a lot of people have been in the music industry, and today they're improving a lot. And through those schools, we have seen Bokalawa Jasmine, a lot of labels have employed a lot of people. So little label means that Babidia. Kopaloko panye di go ne le sekolo se le gore ngwana la palelwa le go sekolong form 5 kana as a dancer a khone go a sekolong sa go itse go ne dancing choreographer le ba le gore ba itse go produce music mo malapeng ba sa nela kitso ya go ira dipalo go UB kana kae a khone go a sekolong sa music ko so that gompe bogologolo ne rena le di choir where schools will compete rena le ma teacher a rutang bana how to sing. We don't have them today. These are the people who are employed by the university of music, whereby they music or music. So, the other thing is this thing cost sports whereby I believe when I live by representer, we have a lot of DJs who need protection from these crossbots. A kid can be, there are some kids who are talented,
who are so good, but cause boards and its authority, employment. We need to be, that those schools can help those kids to go to school of knowing how to be a DJ, to be everything that represents music and art.
All right, thank you so much. I'm seeing so many hands. I'm going to take that hand right there. Yes. Kindly let us be precise. Let's go straight to the point. If we can just make use of 30 seconds, maybe take your most important point and let's hear it out. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Metara Lefatsana. I'm a digital content creator. On my TikTok channel, it's called the SMME Growth Zone. What they can do to take advantage of those opportunities, especially in their small businesses and their personal lives. Digital content creators. Say, Minister of Entrepreneurship. Last week Tuesday, I was at your office. Because we have got no access. Intellectual property. Just 7-8 weeks ago, Botswana Television if you use this information to go and use it elsewhere, we might sue you. So we don't have any access go tsara mo ofising tsa government. Ke ruta batho bana ka mananeo a government ke semotse ke bua ka chema ka bua ka YDF ne ke bua ka National Arts Council of Botswana Grant Maloba gone yana re bua ka YDF. So ha ke ile go Ministry of Entrepreneurship Maloba ke bana le rep for wa PRO o ne a ntlhalosetse ke mara ke se ke kopa go botsa dipotso because there are so many information gaps ke so go sida ke so go le ha gona information e ke e bona gore ke bone minister ke gore ke patara ke BTV ha ile go Maun ebe ke tsa information e mo BTV ya Sunday Standard ba tlohella ba resua rona digital content creators we don't have access ya gona information yeneyo so rep for na ntlhalosetsa anta are meta go batla o joina the media association ke I'm a digital content creator, I'm not a journalist. So what is the government doing to make sure that mananeo a re buang ka one a today a gore go kobana neng nna ke le Metara Lefatsana ke iphirile gore banana ba khona go bona information but we don't have access to that information nna botsa gore how ro batla go khasana na la chama mananeo a mangwe a neta a batla go duela be ke re yes I would like to get paid but ha gona budget. Would you volunteer ke re nka volunteer ba ke re volunteer go tlhokana leng a ba mpolela a long process ke re anu ba ha gona le information gap. If you go to my TikTok channel right now re bua ka no housing scheme, but information gap. But the government cannot facilitate us. Either we duelwa, either we volunteer. I keep the other digital content creators here, with deal with other ministries. How can access say? Minister the lead forum the minister. Things will change. Say, I'm back here telling you nothing has changed.
Thank you very much. We're going to take that hand, Dr. Vorm, and the lady at the back there. Those are the two hands that we're going to take for now, and then we proceed to the next section. We'll come back to more that you'll be having if somebody wouldn't have asked your question.
Dumela Mbutsadi, yo buang ke Dr. Vorm. Minister, ke lebe. Ke mongwe wa di artists tsa ministry wa gago o di file madi a kananga 5,000 go semolla music ka 98 ne re le bantsi ka nna se go hiwa madi a kananga 5,000 go semolla music o ke le mo gone ke ipotsa gore ha ka bone go filwe di artists kana ba ba neng bana le keletso ya go opela kana go eo ha ba ka ba filwe ba le 100 e ka borana le bo Dr. Vomba le kae. So gampienana youth ya ka motla ke mmona e frame ga o se o fiwe sipo se molotse hela from zero. So minister 5,000 no see enough because o no tseru iswa ko studio e be ke a go recorder a mangwe a go dira di CD ne ke iphandela mo pateng. So akanya nka bone ke filwe ya ka youth gampieno e hiwa bo 100,000 nka bo ke le kae le mo Botswana go ngwe nka be ke bitswa international artist nka be ke gongwe ke nna go bo UK e re ke tla mo boipusong go te re emetse international artist e tswa go UK ke na le bo David So how ka injecta madi mo di artisting Botswana o na le talente e seng kana ka sepe ga bana bokgone ja go tsena mo studio ka lebaka la madi bona nna ke file 5,000 bona gore ke eme haka phakela le phakela go tsa thoba mo di show dingwe le dingwe so ya bofelo ke gore re na le di artist tse ileng gore di gona go iphithela di opetse pina gongwe ya ka ke sa ro mo le pemperetle ya township rollers artist yo ga se artist ya township rollers ke seopedi ke service provider re na le di artist tse ileng gore gampieno ra ntse re hiriwa di a labela gote ke di artist tsa BDP nyaaya ga gona artist ya BDP artist ke service provider gampieno ana gona le di artist tse go teng ke tsa the current regime rona re emetse gore tautona a tse stilo re mo support minister a tse stilo re mo support re bola khanya gore artist eo ke a company ya bolebelebe amen.
Thank you very much. We are really behind time. I'm going to take that hand and I want two last comments in relation to legislation, in relation to lawmaking. So I'm going to be taking these two gentlemen whose hands have been up for a very long time. So let's have you and then the last two. Unfortunately, we're really running behind time.
Protocol observed. Hello, everybody. I'm Horata Khetile. Everybody calls me Bella. I'm a ballet dancer, instructor, and choreographer. I run Bella Rosa Ballet Academy in Botswana. Mine is actually a plea to Honorable Minister Jacob Kilibing. For 4 years, I've taught ballet and acrobatic arts, and I've taken the best students from the age of 5 years old to 12 years old to countries like Scotland to represent their country. I've knocked at every door at Botswana, national sports and national arts, and I know all thy names by now. So nobody has assisted us. I have sent these students from my pockets as well as from the parents' pocket, my clients' pockets. Botswana has never assisted us. So my question is, do you only support dance as art in Botswana only if it's traditional dance? Because from my experience for 4 years, ballet and acrobatics is not a form of neither arts nor sports in Botswana. This year, I'm sending 6 students to Ireland to represent Botswana. And I am expecting your support. Honorable Minister, I am not going to be supported by South Africa as I was last year. This year, I am taking 7 students to Ireland, to the world champions, and I promise you, I breed the best. And I'm going to bring results, and I'll make you proud. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's go to the right here. Yes, please.
Dumela, ke bidwa Owen Rampa. Ke itimela gore be ke na le tshono ya go ya mahapele ga bo honorable ba Ministry of Sports and Arts le Ministry of Trade and Entrepreneurship. Ya me ke kopo gore ha go tswelwa pele mo wageng, can I please see more collaborative synergies between these two ministries and industry ya rona as broadcasters? Re le ba ga simo diruma moeng ka gore ke tsa gore you have vested interests in what we do. Le ha re bua ka tsone dikgang tsa IP jana. Le rona we have vested interests mo di ministering tsa lona. So ne ke kopa go bona far more collaborative efforts amongst the industry and these ministries. Ya ka ke bua yana re biditswe ha ke SIPA. SIPA is the body e leng gore e dia le tsone dikgang tsa intellectual property jalo jalo mibile ba o kametswe ka hata se ga Ministry of Trade ha ke sake. We deal with IP, we trade in IP as broadcasters mo Botswana. Me ga ke hakole gope other than today rona re kileng ra nna le bokopano le SIPA gore re kgone go buisana ka dikgwetlho tse leng gore re ka tswa rena le tsone kgotsa se leng gore ra se itumella kana ga re se itumelele le gore re ka thusana jang. le ba Ministry of Sports and Arts ebile nkile ka ithaopa ngogola ka latela ofisi ele ka go bua le bone ke re ba ga itshwere teng mo ga anamise mananeo a lona mo re ka tshwaragana ga Setswana sa re tshwara ke ntša pedi ga se thata ha re ka thusanang teng gore re thuse industry ya rona ka bophara re lebile bone ba diragatsi re lebile rona gape re le di Roma ba ga itse sebaka se se nyenyane ntshwarele mama ke a wena a me a kalo ga ka to bua mo go ntse ke kopo yone o hela gore can I see more synergies going forward re bereka go thata le ba bokra mi bile maatsi a re simolola go kopana thata le ba National Arts Council of Botswana mme go yo tse dingwe gore ke melao ya tlhatlagana kgotsa ya kopana ile gore re kopana le one go bokra mme ka re di ministry tsa rona ga di itse thata ka yone gona le ngwe re kopana le one go course boards so ke di ha tse tsone tse gore ka di ba hape le ha rona gore nya a re le keng go kopana gantsinyana re thusaneng go a kopele thank you.
Ra leboga. Let's proceed to, yes, let's take Motswafere first.
Oh my God, thank you so much for, for that, single me out. Oh, thank you. Protocol observed, Mr. Jacob. I've been trying to get into your office for since you stepped in because we went to UB together. And we have attended so many of the pizzos, a lot. That's why me and Zoo sometimes it's like, let's get to the point, right? We attended so many of these and we want change now. We want, hey, sorry, musician, we've attended so many of these things that now we want change. Botswana were not, but potential. No, that is gone. We are able and we can do. So, there's coat of arms, this is the government, there's SIPA, there's COSBOS, National Arts Botswana, I can't read, Innovation Hub. These are the highest of everything. After this, I was a president. These things, because you have an expression of interest from, which one is National Arts. You take your time to compile information, you submit to that email. They don't give you a delivery. I mean, this is the highest. We're talking about the highest. You should send me an automated response to say, Ore, National Arts we have received and we're going to review and fairly give you, right? We're talking about cost boards. Cost boards, they can give people that are sick money at the end. Sickness, when you are close to dying, that's when they give you 15,000. But when you are alive, you are depressed, you don't have a phone, you go to them, you tell them, let's make a plan. I've seen that in the sheet, it's 5,000 at the end. 5,000. They can give you 200 pool. That is so wrong. Guys, I'm 32. I've been in this industry since I was 18. These things, these opportunities have passed you by, but we are the ones who are working in this industry. How do we work on inclusion of LGBTQ? Mr. Jacob, go UB, you know, UB. Straight, with one mabonte, everything. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4 makeup faces plus yani. Just to show you what I want to be here. Hey, take away, time sorry. I have the heart to be one of the greatest creative directors. Artist. Bend IP and music. It should be there. Swift, in seconds, stage. Practice a duet which I can as duet. I am not familiar with you. If I want to go more staging parliament, I can't. Why, Mr. Jacob? Why? If I want options, something about options, I can't do that. Why? Private investor
All right.
There is so many things that we need to do. I am so sorry, and you're kind for letting me this.
Thank you.
She is doing.
Thank you very much. Zeus, will you do exactly 15 seconds?
I'll try.
Please.
Bullet points. Other CMOs, we're still waiting on other CMOs. Salaka on board, we are fine art, the literature, what, we're still waiting. And then when we talk other CMOs, rene careful, like our Botswana, rato spender might be more executive, more administration, not the core business itself. So we tell her reduce la structure. So please, let's not see that. If it means cost bots, eat the work out more efficient, the those departments in there, let it be the case. I know I said other CMOs, but that's an alternative. Policy, tech giants, protectionism. But let me sum up this next couple of points. Protectionism. IP trade. Music, fine art, film, the same way you consider international trade across the board. I get it. If you're thinking about import-export, if you're thinking about the balance of trade, IP is one of the worst spaces, balance of trade. We're bombarded by Hollywood. I get it. Now, all these other players invest so much, we can't compete with. When you can't do that, you protect your industries. Whether it's American Airlines and farmers or South African music. I don't think piano would have gone global had South Africa not taken that strong protectionist stance. Lastly, collective bargaining power. It in different forms. It's very seriously, Mr. Minister. Bomu as our representative, as our voice. With all due respect, Fresh, you're my guy. I love you. But Bomu has never spoken for me. Bomu has always been about awards, organizing award after award after award. Hahona, any kind of welfare issues, floor pricing. So Arbacking in the union so that we can talk about such too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're really pressed with time. I'm going to take this moment to give our honorable ministers the opportunity to respond. And let's hope and believe that in that response, they will also respond to some of your comments which you were yet to make. We'll start with the honorable minister, Ntsima. There has been comments on the synergy between the two ministries. There has been a number of comments that we would really like to hear some response from your side, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know where I started with my notes, but let me look. I think, let me go to Yaha. I didn't get the name, but he was talking about the School of Music. As for us as ministries to collaborate to maybe build a school. I think this will be taking away your business as creatives. What we just need to do is to facilitate an environment where you as artists can start this school and government supports you because it's part of your business. So I would go for the idea that the government, maybe through funding or maybe also advocacy for maybe land, so that you creatives, you artists are the ones who will be running the school. Because but you would know better what type of school you would want, what type of courses would be involved. And then there was another comment on killing of DJs by Cosbots. This animal called Cosbots is your animal, and it has a membership. Shape to what you want. So let's take a proactive role change these institutions to be what we want them to be, to serve us. Cosmos was made for you creatives, and I think you must take also I think it also has an issue collection, which I think calls for government to simplify things. Ministry of Trade in SIPA, in the commercial side of giving licenses to businesses, Zadi Bara, Zadi Club, and all those. There's need for partnership in these things. You can't build in silos. SIPA, commercial, wadi license, can also be a collector at the time of giving a license. Bara apply a license. Annually they're going to renew.
gore a gore Cosbots e tshwantse gore e tsene gone go gore tsenyetsa fee ya meruri gone go, so that we don't have an issue ya gore Cosbots yaanong e letela gore license e ntshiwe and then they follow the barman or the owner of the bar after, or any other. Most businesses actually play music. So re tshwantse gore gongwe re lebelele, do a feasibility study and look at what businesses play music, and then have a HUAD license. Collection ya Cosbots comes with the fee ya license, and then Cosbots can just go to those people who are giving licenses to collect what is theirs. So go botlhokwa gore ha re le puso re bankanye dilo tse, so that there is that collaboration between. For SIPA, I mentioned SIPA because this is me, and ke setse ke buile le Ramapo ikaganya. I believe SIPA must also disburse licenses, trading licenses. Because when you register a business, e be le gore le license ya tswa at the time of registration. And modalities of how you do that would be very easy. SIPA already is a super SOE ka gore they are online. How about the license? But if it's through them, it will be very easy because they have already mastered the online system. Dr. Vom, no, before Dr. Vom, there was the lady who talks fast. I think I've seen her on TikTok. And ona bua hela ka accessibility gore ha re ya go di officing tsa rona, let's be accessible re itse gore le bone ba teng in the industry. And this calls also for reforms of the laws that we have. Gore kana melao e ga e diriwa go ne go sna tsone dio tseo tsa bo social media and stuff. So maybe it's time that we also influence from your end, influence reforms tsa melao so that di tsamaelana le the times tsa gompieko. And ke lona gape le re bang kwano as legislators, so it's easy for you guys also to advocate for that through us. The rally tsa rona, mostly we call artists. One of the things that you can discuss is at a rally. Rawe ya ka ke performana gompieko, I need you to represent me as you're saying you're going to represent me. And this is what I have as mohago wa gago as you go to parliament. So ke dio tse leng gore re tshwantse gore le rona be proactive from our end to look at. Dr. Vom, even though the question was not to me directly, was talking to funding artists. Go botlhokwa gore go nne le that funding. I think we have that through the levy on technical devices ka siding ya Ministry of Trade. I know no, already there are problems there, we are applying, we're not, but also feedback, let's continue to exchange on how we restructure, how we formulate this thing so that they better serve you as a customer. And I think Owen was just, it was just a, encourage, let's work together as ministries. It's a customer called a creative or an artist. Also, and I think in advice, it was more advisory. Let's be intentional about protecting the artist. The policy or trade. Protection of small industries. Let's have protection of artists also, so that I think generally we all know that is not in line with what is happening now. There is currently a rebanka at the ministry level, AIP. Your contribution will highly be appreciated so that we really shape them to what you guys want. Molao supposed to facilitate you to do dilo tsa gago sen, and also to protect you, not go kganela go huma kana go kganela go dira tse eleng gore o batla go di dira. So let's also look at molao in that manner gore o tshwantse gore bo re thusa, o tshwantse gore re kgontse go dira tse eleng gore ra di kgona. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A warm round of applause, please. We proceed to the Honorable Minister of Sports and Art.
Thank you. Tota ke ta simula hela ka ya access to loans ye mokauleng wa na ibua gore kana bona bana access le ba di artist. Like I said before, go na le the National Fund of Funds, e le gore me part of it tabetseng tse di creatives. So ke tsaya ke re ta nna le tshono ya gore re le ba creatives re kgone go bona sengwe. Earlier on, go ne go buiwa ka the tax rebates, e le sengwe sa dilo tse e le gore di ka thusa our artists. Se nka le promisang ke gore it's something that we are currently working on. Really ministry. We have already engaged by Ministry of Finance. Ele compensation as much as we have sport ele more tax rebate re tshwantse ra tsenya le ba di arts nngwe ya tsone ne ele gone gore companies were complaining gore the process is long and ena le red tapes, so we are working on maybe engaging bone ba BRS re bone gore re ka irang gore go nne motho for companies ba ile gore they invest in art and sports ba khona gore ba ska ba sokola gore ba dire jalo. So it's something se le gore se motafoleng re setse re simolotse go engage ka sone. Khona le issue ya gore we must prioritize the locals and also empower them. Yo ki dumana le yone tota hela ke itse struggle sa lona bogolo yang lona ba di creatives ka gore bontsi ba lona ha ke a le itse le ka maina. I've engaged you before as the former SRC president, ne ke bereka le lona thata mo di freshers ball bo Miss UB even post university re kopane thata re interact ke itse mathata a lona. So se nka se buang ke gone gore re tshwantse ra simola conversation bogolo yang ya broadcasting gore tota hela go te go padile at least 80% should be local music. So ke tsone se leng gore re letsa gore re se bone. Not only that, we have the Now TV content, Now TV online. We are working on improving it and also buy more content. Not only the film, but also content there with the artists different. Even if we buy the film, ra make sure the artists ba mo opelo ba mo teng, visual artists le bone ba mo teng, so that re kgona go empower. The intention ke gore going forward e be re reka content on quarterly basis. Re sa reke ele content e leng gore re kiwa ga wane hela mo ngwageng. Jaaka April re tabe ra award to some companies ra award around 17 million for the local content. But the intention is to increase that figure ya gore at least re reka content ya 100 million per year go Now TV. We are not only working mo goreng ya ka ra itse gore most of you don't have access to that Now TV. Gona le ka ha re dirang ka teng gore le khona go na le access to Now TV le sa thoke gore le nne le data to have access to it mo di phone tsa lona. Gona le ka ha re dirang ka teng gape gore Now TV e boele mo television me on international platforms isi jaaka gompieno e le gore le bona hela ka internet kana ka maranyane. So re mo go yone go le ka gore re tokahatse se e leng gore le la ka sone le the creatives re ta bua ka tsone thata. Very soon we will have a platform kana we will have a forum e le gore ke ta go le rolela the progress ya gore re irang ka khanya content. Gona le khanya gore go nne le sekolo ke dumana le yone me jaaka mokaolengwe le ene na buile gore ha gongwe le lona re ska ra tshaba gore le dire dikolo. Maybe the government can support by sponsoring artists go tsena mo dikolong tseo. We are also working on revitalizing the vocational institutions, kind of vocational training. So part of it, dio tse di tshwana le bo music, dio tse di tshwana le bo tourism, dio tse di tshwana le temothuo, re batla gore re di prioritize gone ko gore re kgone go tokahatsa se re nang le sone. So ke na le wena mokaoleng mo go yone o no bua ka gore accessibility to government offices ga gona access tota ba le kganela konte tota hela it's unfortunate me gone hela rona re butse dikgoro le bone ba industry ba itse gore ha ke se busy nka ba bona ha gongwe hela ke bolwa ke gore le re rorositse tiro e seng kana ka sepe ne re kile be re le ka ha re hula re le ka ha mo kganetso mme ano le re neetse boikarabelo ra kgona go utwa tota gore tiro ya teng ntsi go le kae. It's not easy. Sometimes we are not available because we are engaged on other activities, not necessarily gore we don't want to have that access for you gore le nne le platform le rona. And me nna ko ministering wa me ke kupile gore go nne le that open door policy. You should be allowed to come to our offices at any time. Let the botsa le engage le botsa ka dio tse di teng. Le bone ba National Arts Council le bone re ete re bue gore a re bulele di artists re bulele di creatives gore ba nne ba ntse ba kgone go engage freely without fear or favor, so that re kgone go improve because dio tseo di a re thusa. Me gone as content creators, I'm also encouraging you to group yourselves. Maybe you should have an advocacy platform. Ye leng gore le na le one gore le lona ha re le bitsa ka re re bitse bo bomo re bitse ba bangwe bo bepa re bitse ba lona be leta le representa your sector kana your group go mo go ka thusa thata gore re skara re bua ka dilo e be re le lebala gore ya no kana as times moves gona le content creators ba ile gore le bone ba thokana le platform e tshwanetseng. Dr. Vomo buile khanye bothokwa ya di grants for the particularly for artists. Tota hela se se bolang rona di hustler le di artists ke lack of funding. Ye leng gore even the NACB ba thotsa. Imagine gore the grant ya ngwaga e re ntse re na le one ke ya 3 million. Me kana 3 million hela ha re bua nnete ke o ka fundang only one initiative or one artist. Ibile ga enough for one initiative. So se re le ka go se dira currently re le ka go gwetha private sector, re le ka go gwetha di partnera gore ba re thuse so that re thuse NACB gore e nne le more funds tse le gore di ka kgona gore di le thuse. Re setse re kwaletse ba finance re dupa di levy gore re batla go dupa di levy tse di leng teng gore some of these levies di te go rona gore re kgone go capacitate NACB e kgone go funda the artist. So le bone bo sipa re tatswela re ntse re ba engage kana ha gongwe re nna le double dipping mo eleng gore le na le levy one ya di technical devices ha gongwe be re nna le other platforms that synergy ne buiwa ke ramp e bo thokwa thata gore nne teng gore re nne le collaborative efforts so that ha re sipa ya thusa di artist e be le thulaganyo e le gore e tsamaelana le rona ka go di artseng go na le thulaganyo NACB le bone ba le involved really involved as the ministry o eleng gore o lebagane le dio tseo gore re ska ra ipitela le gore re beile the bone the real industry ka ha musing go tahela ka gore go buiwa ka proposal ha go ba lela le ka yone form yone yo ya technical devices gore form ya teng hela ya thata go filwa me kana di artist ra itse gore ba creative go le kae so re ba irele dio tse motho ke dio tse leng gore re ta engage le ministry go bona gore re ka tokagatsa jang mo go tsone go nnile le khanya ga mme go rata ya dance academy gore o nokile every door without any assistance. That's unfortunate re lela le wena malobane ke bua le ba NACB ka their regulations tota go bua nnete their regulations di ba ka ha musing ga bana madi mele the regulations tsa bone hela tsa gore ba funda yang ba emela gore go nne le that open call ya gore le apply le madi ga gona mo eleng gore special cases ya gas maloba we had to arm twist somehow gore re thuse mess impossible gore a ye go USA. Imagine for the first time Motswana I invite you for the Grammy Awards. Re na ra heletsa re bona gore re dira jang maybe re dirisa discretion tse dingwe tse eleng gore ha ngone re sa thoke go di dirisa hana ba le empowered enough go ka thusa such cases. So these are some of the things that we are looking at and it's about the law and le lona ya ka le participate yana le ra ha megopolo ga re bate di-talk show tse di buang ke Motswafere gore re nna re taga ngwaga le ngwaga re bua megopolo ya rona re tshwanetse re e tseye re e diragatse re ise ko parlamenteng re change melao ke sone se le bona gore e tla re ka July setting ra go change the Cinematography Act e le gore ke ya 1972 imagine nako ya ga Seretse.
Thank you, Honorable. Yeah, no, ke tla go tsena ho we're really pressed for time ne kopa hela gore ya no we tswale re tle tswela le program no na le mananeo tota
ke ya ka ke tswala ka gore ke responder to the industry a ngwa ha re sa ba respond re ba limitela nako re ira gore ba palelo ke gore ba re nele megopolo ya no ke sone se re le ka go se dira so ke setse ke buile ka collaborative efforts broadcasters we need you on board very soon rona ko ministry wa rona will have the media engagement platform ye leng gore ta bona gore re convene ga kae le lona le ba media go ta gonna ha se le rona le re ha megopolo re bona gore re ka tokagatsa jang Motswafere ke dumala le wena we want change and that change you wanted you have it now so ke na kwa gore ya nong re change ka ha e leng gore re dira dio ka teng re buile ka limited budget e re na le one ko NACB ye le ra go e tokahatsa le ta utwa ka di announcement ka gore na ke dumele mo gore nke bue thata gore re dira eng ka gore ta re go ntse go tsweletse re le bolelle gore ke eng se re se dirang bone ba inclusiveness yo buang ka yone Motswafere wa itse gore ko UB ne re le emano keng mo dikganyeng tse di laamang ne re le involve bogolo yang mo pageantry gone gore re supe gore re bata gore mongwe le mongwe a tseye sabe so ka bokhutshwane ne ke re ke tlhalosegela gore Rezus issue ya administration versus the core business ke ngwa di o tsele gore le nna ke goroga eng ha khamaditse mo go matso a so re ke ko di artsing hela le ka ko sporting o itela gore ha go ntshitse 100 million for the SOE 80% ya ko di salary la administration we need to find maybe somehow find the balance re bona re ka dira jang gore re improve ka ko the core business ke dio tse leng gore re ta di dira as we speak mo issue nya lona ya di arts le gone go di filming just recently we paid more than 2.7 million re renew content there na le one ko Now TV collective bargaining power ke one ne re bua ka yone gore lona bo content creators le ba bang issue ya bomo ke a itse gore some people ba re ga e ba advocate but kana you are the members and you have the power to change if bomo is a advocate why can't you change the leadership kana ha ile gore go na le ka ha ile gore ga ba di radio sente why can't you seek maybe remedy ko di court kana wherever kwa ile gore le ka khona gore le tsamaise dio tsa lona sente mela se se bothokwa we need those organizations gore ba tswella ba bua ka ba tswella ba le buella ka welfare ya lona we need those organizations gore di re thuse more especially mo policy formulation NACB ba teng le tshwantse le tisa di suggestion re bua ka bo the nightlife economy we need those laws gore di goroge we have recently signed a memorandum of understanding with the University of Botswana with efforts tsa gore re kgone go dirisa their experts mo eleng gore ha re batla go change melao go nna motho ka gore re dirisana le bone we have to have access to those facilities lona di artists ka gore gompieno ana re bua ka bo di theater me University of Botswana yana le tsone ke tiro ya rona re le ministry gore re le bulele those platforms thank you
Honorable Minister of Sport and Arts, thank you so much for your time. Honorable Minister of Trade and Entrepreneurship, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for giving us audience as we had burning issues of which they may not have all been voiced today, but of course, in due time, we will have more and better platforms, of course, and more time. Le lona ba gaetsho re le leboge thata gore e belile la re tswa pitso le gone gore ha re le hano you really kept to your voice to speak out what you had to say. Thank you so much. I kindly ask that we rise as we usher our honorable ministers to their seats, please.
I hope the photographer is around, taking that very expensive picture. as they walk off stage. May we please give them a big round of applause. Tiro ba e dirile. And I believe a lot of questions have been answered. I would also like to take this moment as we're all standing to allow our dignitaries, our ministers, to please go ahead and have your tea. And I'll also allow you to sit down and I'll let you know how you'll be able to get the tea. But for now, as we remain standing, may we allow our ministers to break for tea. This includes as well as our VIPs, so we will follow them accordingly. They're not going anywhere, they'll be back. All right, thank you so much for your cooperation. Now, for everyone, we will allow, the ushers will batch you in groups and you will go out and get your coffee and snacks. And please come back in the room because we are going to continue the program. We're not going to break for tea as in the program. So please have your seat as we continue with our program. The ushers will come to you and lead you out so that you can have your tea and continue. All right, that was quite the panel discussion. I think that, with the new government change, there's a lot of hope for change, and we were expecting a lot of dialogue as there should be, so that we can get all the answers, because as much as today we are commemorating, we are celebrating, these kind of conversations are important for all the creators and innovators to understand what is on the table of the ministers. Are they aware of what we want? And for them to get that push, that nudge for them to go ahead. So I'm very happy. I'm sure even a lot of you creatives are very happy as well, because now our own minister has said, look, we are going to come back and give you feedback in July, and we must keep them accountable to that. Now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome on stage, unless my co-host here has something to say. Okay, no, he just wants to be my bodyguard. Awesome. All right, so I'd like to... All right, so she has completed a leadership management program and the leaders program in policy at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Policy in Singapore, with over 15 years of legal experience spanning both government and the corporate sector. She has contributed to international task forces, showcasing her ability to navigate complex policy environments and foster really meaningful collaborations. To share on the mandate of the National Arts Council, currently acting CEO of National Arts Council of Botswana, Ms. Utsetswe Koboyangwe. Please give her a big round of applause. Ne ke kopa gore re monele legofi.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I find that my task is going to be very easy because the dignitaries have left. So I'll make sure that I run through my presentation very quickly, taking advantage of their absence, to make sure that I teach you what we currently do as the NACB, as well as to make sure that we have a broader understanding of what NACB could be doing for the music industry and the creative industry at large. I will say, in the absence of the dignitaries, all protocol observed. I stand on the shoulders of the leaders who were just up front here to say we take this opportunity to appreciate and to thank the organizers of this event, to make sure that NACB is able to be part of the discussion. In my presentation will be very short. I'll make sure that I just give a brief background of the NACB, when it was established, which law established it. Then I'll go on to the mandate. I'll also give snippets of the strategic direction that when the NACB was created, it was meant to be the vision of how we shape the creative industry. I'll also touch on some partnerships and collaborations. I'll put brief points, but I'll also expound as we go on, and then I'll dive down into NACB, IP, and music, which is the theme for today's engagement. We are a fairly new parastatal. The law that established us was passed in 2020, but in terms of operations, the first employee joined NACB in 2022. So you can see that there was a bit of a lag in terms of the establishment, the enactment of the act, as well as when we actually started operations. Our key mandate is to promote, develop, and protect the arts and culture sector in Botswana, what we commonly call the creative sector. We also are supposed to promote and protect diverse cultural and creative expressions, as well as make sure that there's commercialization and access to markets, which is the core and critical issue that we have to make sure that we are able to achieve. We are also, part of it, supposed to make sure that we engender cultural tourism and creative urban regeneration. One of the things that I must highlight at this point is the vision of the government is to make sure that NACB is a sustainable hub for the creative sector. As a hub, just to break it down a bit, it is that geographic concentration that brings together companies, which I believe are part of the meeting today, investors, entrepreneurs, and other relevant players within the sector, which we are currently talking about being the creative sector. It is characterized by a vibrant and dynamic business ecosystem where collaboration, innovation, and knowledge sharing is encouraged.
So I'm just going to ask Ms. Otswetsi gore gongwe gonana a ka e phosa teng hela ho, because ke bona a lot of us have went out and a lot of people really need to hear this presentation. So I'm just going to ask her to pause and she will continue this very important presentation right after the break. Thank you so much for your cooperation.